Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry. The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Look into the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 130. As always, you can check this podcast out on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play. You can hit us up on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page, as well as the Dojo Talk Podcast Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com, and you can give me a follow on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei if you feel the need to do so. And as always, every week I'm joined with my co-host, Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just chilling, thinking of Disney World. I'm going there next week. I don't always think of Disney World. I just want to make that clear.
Did you see their streaming service? The info they put out?
I did not. They said something. I saw like a clip, like what looked like a PowerPoint screenshot of where they said they'd have all the Disney classics up like day one, and I don't believe them.
I don't know, man. I was skeptical at first, but I think Disney's about to come through and wreck shop.
I mean, yeah, that's what they're buying everything.
For one,
which is not good. Good.
It's almost scary how much they own. Like I know Wikipedia isn't 100% the gospel, but just go peep the Wikipedia page and just see how much Disney owns. That scroll button gets a little ridiculous. Like it's a lot. It is a ridiculous amount. But from what I saw, I think they're coming out the gate swinging, man. I think it's gonna be. I think it said $6.99 a month. You can do $6.99 a month, or you can do $70 for the full year. Which out the gate, I feel like they're trying to get Netflix out of here.
I know they're gonna be doing like original content, but I can't imagine they'd be doing stuff like Stranger Things or like the Santa Clarita Diet or BoJack Horseman or like whatever, like all that, like the weird stuff that Netflix is able to get away with, especially when they call their service Disney Plus. Because it's one thing if they had gone with some like catch-all for all the properties they own, because they also own ESPN, ABC, Fox now. But like when you put Disney next to the title of whatever your service is, you kind of imply
it's a little more family friendly.
Yeah, you have an image. There's a reason Walt died of like lung cancer, and we never fucking saw him smoking a cigarette ever. It's all about image.
We'll see though. I think they're coming with the best foot forward, but I think you're right though. Like I think what'll keep Netflix afloat and around is all of their original content, because they have so much of it. And then even outside of like the movies, like Netflix has every stand-up comedy special ever. So they've got enough content, I think, that'll keep them around. But that Disney thing's it looks better than what I thought it was. I thought it was gonna be some trash, but I don't know.
I know they're gonna do original stuff for it. Like they're doing like animated Marvel movies, which is something I always wanted to see. Like especially with the success of stuff like Into the Spider-Verse. So.
Oh, well, hopefully they keep them in that vein, because Marvel has other animated movies, but they're not.
Good.
Not a lot to write home about.
It's like, well, all their TV shows suck. I'm sorry. Like they're really bad. Like, have you ever tried to watch Ultimate Spider-Man?
Nah, I haven't. I haven't watched Spider-Man since the old days, the '90s cartoon.
Yeah.
this new stuff, I'm not with it.
It's really bad. You're not missing much.
We'll see though. Disney trying to take over the world.
As all our media gets bought up by one company.
And they own a lot of they own a lot of news stations, or like they have like, if they don't outright own them, they have like, they own like a percentage of it at least or something. So it's kind of,
which is,
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
They have their hands in a little too much. It almost feels like that shouldn't be allowed.
Kind of wish somebody enforced antitrust law, but
we'll see.
Topic for another podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
All I want to know is, now that Disney has ESPN Plus and Disney Plus, are they going to bundle them together?
I mean, I don't know that for sure, but if I had to guess,
that's some whack shit.
I don't think it's gonna happen. They're gonna bleed us, bro.
I guess I think we talked about this before, but if they ever with when Disney Plus comes out, I'd probably just go back and like get a month and watch like all the stuff that's just really hard to find, because I really like those old cartoons. But I probably I don't think I could stick around like on Disney for more than a month, like, because what like we said before, they don't do the unique weird stuff.
If all of the Marvel shows go over there, I'll do that. I watch those, and I heard word on the street is Darkwing Duck might be over there.
Like a new one, or
I think they're just gonna throw the old one. I mean, to be honest, either way, if Darkwing Duck ends up on there, I'm at least doing a month trial. I don't know if you younger kids even know what Darkwing Duck was, but it's pretty awesome.
I mean, everybody should watch DuckTales. That's my response to that. Both the new one and the old one.
Oh man, but yeah. So streaming wars, people, it's real.
Speaking of streaming wars.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Sensei, I want to put you on the spot, but did you buy UFC 236?
Gotta go with a no on that one.
Okay, so you're like me and you watched it through binoculars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was like outside the stadium,
Yeah, no, I'm talking. I was just watching through binoculars through my neighbor's window. I did not pirate it, and you cannot prove that I did. They had the window
open from across the street, and we just kind of like.
Yes. Yes.
And like we even locked eyes at one point, but they just accepted it. And I was like, I'll close my window when you're done. Yeah.
Right.
So that's what that was.
But I asked this because there were a lot of people last night who were having issues getting it on their TV, because apparently you can only buy it through the app or through your computer. If you have a smart TV, you have to buy it through your computer / phone, and then log in through your smart TV.
Yeah, it's
which seems like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's not. They don't. For everything to be centralized in one location, they still somehow find a way to make this like it's a little more difficult than it needs to be. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, those these numbers, whenever they do come out.
I mean, they probably won't come out unless there's like a shareholders meeting or something. Or they do exceptionally well, which I don't anticipate, but I just imagine there's like a 70-year-old grandpa somewhere who's like, who never watches any of like the Fight Pass or ESPN Plus cards, but he watches like every card on TV, and he went to go buy this pay-per-view, and he was just really confused because he couldn't find it.
I mean, at this point, I poke fun at old people. At this point, though, I couldn't blame them. Like, yeah, they made this. At bare minimum, this should have still at least been able to be purchased on Fight Pass. Like, because that's not really a hard thing to figure out. But, yeah, I don't know. They need to, if we're going to go all in on this whole ESPN thing, let's make this a little more, just easier. This needs to be a much simpler process than what we got going right now. But
I'll give them this. They put up the little graphics saying how to do it. Not how to do it, but what to do.
Yeah, and they kept showing that.
Also, they were advertising the card.
They kept showing that
a
commercial.
lot.
I saw Dana White one too many times trying to hustle me this ESPN Plus pay-per-view deal for $79.99 a year. I saw Dana White like 20 times yesterday, more than I needed to.
I know he has the ear thing, but does he always have to shout at me? Like maybe he can't control his volume anymore, but like he is screaming.
I think at one point he's been a promoter for so long that this has just become like his natural. You know, he can't go back to whatever his voice was before. This is just his natural speaking voice. He's just this. Yeah,
that's sad.
That's what we have to deal with. But we'll get to all those details in a little bit. Real quick before we get started, as always, special shout outs to all the listeners, man. Always appreciate you guys. Please share, post, and retweet with any fight fans you know. Gotta spread the love. If you know anybody who likes people getting punched and kicked in the face, send this to them, and hopefully they'll enjoy it. Top listens as far as cities for the week. Number 1, we got Mountain View, California. Number 2, we got Fort Worth, Texas. Number 3, I'm going to butcher this, but it is Skiatook, Oklahoma. Number 4, Van what? Vannuis, California. However you pronounce that. Shout out to you guys. And number 5, Blantyre, Malawi. Shout outs to Malawi. That's definitely a new entry. I have not seen you guys before. But shout out to all the listeners, man. Post, retweet, share with the fight fan, all that good stuff. You know, we need the numbers. And special thanks to everybody who did listen to last week's episode, which you know, took me a little while to get out. We had some audio difficulties. I had to take some extra time. That was a lot of editing. I'm glad it still got decent numbers, so I appreciate you guys for listening to that episode. That was a rough one. But yeah, so this week on today's episode, I'll talk a little UFC, little one championship. Got a few boxing fights that went down. I guess I will reluctantly talk about Bare Knuckle FC.
I didn't see the whole card. I mostly just want to talk about the president.
Well, I'll at least read the results because I have that up here. Yeah, and some of the stuff may be old to you guys because we did not record last week because there were fight cards, but there wasn't anything like really major last week.
We could not get 3 hours out of the
right.
championship.
It would have been 3 hours of me just being angry. So yeah, we kind of just took the week off because there wasn't anything too crazy going on. So I'll go through news and notes. So some of these you guys may have already heard because, like I said, we didn't record for a week. So some of this you may have heard already. But if not, you know, we will go through fight announcements, the whole regular spiel, and then we'll fight announcements and news, and then we'll get to the fights and such. But starting from the top for fight news and announcements of the week. UFC 238 got some bangers coming on this card. Aljamain Sterling versus Pedro Munoz, Petr Yan versus Jimmy Rivera, and Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Alexa Grasso, all going down at UFC 238. At UFC on ESPN 3, Jack Hermansson will be replacing Yoel Romero as the headliner, and he will be facing Jacare Souza. At UFC on ESPN 4, we'll have Joseph Benavidez versus UCA Formiga. At UFC Ottawa, we'll have Sergey Spivak versus Walt Harris. At UFC 239, we'll have Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez. At UFC Greenville, we'll have Andrea KGB Lee versus Montana De La Rosa. UFC Minneapolis has a little duo of fights. We'll have Drew Dober versus Marco Polo Reyes. And everybody's favorite diaper man, Junior Albini versus Maurice Green. And at UFC Rochester, we will have Danny Roberts versus Michelle Pereira. And shout outs to Ross Pearson, who also retired after the Des Green fight. Yeah, just shout out to Ross. He won. I forgot what season of Tough he was on. That was way back when. But just shout out to him, man. A guy who just managed to. He stayed around for a while, man. That's another one of those kind of like multi-generational guys who just, you know, didn't end his career on the best of notes, but put on entertaining fights nonetheless. He gave me some memorable scraps. So shout outs to Ross Pearson. These other little UFC tidbits I will save because these will probably be topics of convo. Well, real quick, the other one, Tony Ferguson has actually been cleared to fight. He passed his medical evaluation. I'm not sure. He's okay.
Is that mental health or like physical health?
Don't know. He posted a post on Instagram, and it just said I passed my med eval. I didn't know if that meant mental or physical, but the headline said that he was cleared to fight. He really wants the Khabib fight. Don't know how that's gonna happen because of what we're gonna talk about today, but I don't know. So I guess he's been cleared. I don't know if he's gonna get the Khabib fight. We'll just have to see how that all plays out. That's all I got pretty much for UFC news. The other two notes I'll leave off because we'll probably dive into those a little bit more. Bellator, not really much going on except they did sign Strasser. Kichi Kunimoto, he signed with Bellator, former UFC fighter, former Rising fighter. I think he's like 37, but who cares? He's going to be in Bellator. That's going to be a thing. Elsewhere, speaking of new signed fighters, Yushin Okami will be making his one championship debut on May the 3rd against Kiamria Abasov. I meant to look and see what weight class that'll be in because apparently Okami just fights at every weight class. But that'll be a thing on May 3rd. I can't remember if we covered this the last time we recorded. I don't even know if this was a thing last time. But Zoila Frosto has kind of just returned on the MMA scene. She's had, I think, 2 fights in like the last year or so. But she will be back on Combates America on May 10th in Stockton, California. Hector Sandoval will also be on that card as well. So just shout out to her. She was a name who, when we did our episode of the episode we did dedicated to women's MMA, she was a name that came up, and she had kind of just felt like she's kind of disappeared from the scene for a while, but I guess she's slowly getting back at it. So we'll see what she does over in Combates. For PFL, they released their schedule for their first 3 events this year. And I kind of like what they're doing, well, even though this last one could be a disaster. But I kind of like what they're doing with these cards because they're kind of like, I guess you could say, like organizing them somewhat. So just to make sense of it. So PFL 1 is going down on May 9th. And pretty much that card is going to feature welterweights and women's lightweights. And then PFL 2 is going down on May 23rd. And that card is focusing mainly on featherweights and lightweights. And then PFL 3, which is going down on June 6th, will be focusing on light heavyweight and heavyweight. I feel like that was heavyweight and light heavyweight shouldn't be on the same card. A lot of bad things can.
Dude, this card's being headlined by Satoshi Ishii, man.
Like, I feel like light heavyweight should have been paired with like welterweight, so you could have at least a card that had potential to be half good. And if light heavyweight didn't pull through, at least you had the welterweight who bought it.
I just want to read some of the names on this main card real quick, and just like, or just on this card in general real quick, because oh my god. Jared Rosholt, Dan Spahn, Francimir Barroso, Ronnie Marks, Jordan Johnson, Satoshi Ishii. Oh my god. Like,
it's gonna be fun.
These are men who in their careers were often ridiculed for being quite boring. Especially like Ronnie Marks and Barroso. Like Satoshi Ishii has at least that like judo. He might be able to whip out like a nice little Uchimata or something. But like for the most part, none of these guys are terribly exciting.
I mean, at least, well, you know what? I don't know.
Jordan Johnson and Jared Rosholt should not be on the same card.
I don't know. Well, you know,
this seems like a form of
what could happen maybe is we'll just get. I feel like the best I can, and this ain't even just a slight at PFL. This is kind of how I feel about light heavyweight and heavyweight in general. At the most I can hope for, if I can just get a sloppy, I don't know, a sloppy kickboxing fest and somebody gets knocked out, I'll just take that. That's, you know, that's the most I can ask for, and I'll take that and be happy with it. Just don't give me one of those lean on the fence, take you down, and I just kind of sit on you, but I don't really like advance or do anything.
I mean, I hope every single fight on that card is exactly like that. I just want the people who are there live to absolutely lose their minds.
Well,
for all the.
I mean, luckily, from what I remember, like all the PFL fights pretty much happen on Thursday nights. So yes. I probably won't be able to watch any of these in real time. And PFL 3, I will definitely make sure I do not watch in real time, and I'll just read the results. If I see more than more than 4 decisions, I'm just gonna skip that. And you know, I don't know. We might be surprised. We might get some sleepages. There could be some knockouts. We'll see. But on the last bit of notes and news that I had. Ben Askren will be active again, not in the UFC octagon. He's gonna be wrestling, not like WWE, like real wrestling.
WWE is real wrestling. What are you talking about? It's professional wrestling.
The other wrestling where you don't get to.
Oh, you mean the amateur?
Yeah, the one where you don't put people through tables. That one. But he'll be going against Jordan Burroughs. That'll be going down on May 6th at Madison Square Garden. I'm not too familiar with Burroughs other than I've heard he is a monster. So I will have to watch footage and see how this goes. So that's going to be a thing. I guess to go back up real quick. Petr Yan and Rivera. How are we feeling about that?
Not good, because, you know, I'm a Rivera fan. I think Yan just overwhelms him with volume, and I do not expect good things from this fight for Jay Rivera.
So
especially because he slows down later in fights. He either gets either it's like a gas thing or like a mental thing, but he like the urgency that he starts the fight with seems to just disappear.
I got Yan too, for the same reasons. I don't think Yan. Well, I don't remember what Rivera is actually ranked. I got Yan. The rankings aside, Yan via the eye test is a top 5, in my opinion.
Jimmy's ranked 7th. Jan's ranked 9th.
All right, so Jan's gonna get that top 5. Assuming, let's kind of looking ahead, but assuming let's say Yan and Sterling both win, and that's probably who I'm gonna pick for both. I think we're gonna pick Aljo over Pedro. I think it's gonna be an awesome fight though. But assuming they both win, do they fight each other to determine the next title challenger, or do you give one the nod over the other?
Well, that fight's on the same card, right? Yeah. As the Moraes Cejudo fight. So like I assume they just give the winner of that fight the winner of the main event, just so they don't have somebody on the shelf, because this belt hasn't been defended since like August, and now you have a new champion who has to solidify themselves. Like, if Moraes wins, I'm assuming they'll probably go with the winner of Sterling Munoz. Well, I can see them just skipping over.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, if assuming Moraes wins, which I honestly think he will, because the first Aljo fight was kind of a,
yeah.
But I love Aljo, man. Aljo's the homie, but that fight was a wash.
But if Cejudo wins, I can see them giving it to Benavidez and just saying we're not doing the flyweight division anymore. So Benavidez, you were a former title challenger in this division, and you haven't won over the champ. So have fun. But no,
confusion to be had. Well, depending on what they do, because
I'd be down for Sterling getting a shot at the title, even if it's against Moraes. But I don't know if the UFC will do it.
I would say he's deserved it. He's been on a really good run since then. But I just think if you're the UFC, it's a hard sell to book a fight where the first time they fought, like he got sent to the nether realm. Moraes and Jan would be fun. That would be fun. I don't know. I feel like if Moraes wins, I don't hate either matchup. They'll both be fun regardless. But I just think the Sterling fight might be a hard sell. Unless you just run the angle that since that loss, he's just, really it's the truth. He's been on a pretty good run since then. But we'll see. There's still bantamweight and flyweight, which is a thing, but isn't a thing at the same time. Still has a bunch of confusion surrounding it. So we'll have to see how that works out. And I guess that'll just kind of tie into our first topic of the day. Mr. TJ Dillashaw. I don't even have the article pulled up in front of me. I don't think it's really a ton to explain.
You took EPL, and now he's gone for 2 years.
That's pretty much it. You got...
When TJ Dillashaw comes back, he will be a 35-year-old man fighting 28-year-old men who will probably be in the primes of their career. So...
Yeah, and, you got to imagine that when he comes back, who knows what the cardio is going to look like. And I'm pretty sure the 28-year-old gentleman will not be lacking in cardio. So that could be interesting. I'll admit, I didn't really know what EPO was. I still don't fully know what EPO is, other than, it's something you have to inject. So this isn't something that he could be like, oh, somebody spiked my Gatorade. You had to, sit down and take this. You didn't just slip and fall into a needle. But I guess from what I understand, it does help with cardio, things of that nature, something like that. I was surprised he got the 2-year smack, but I didn't know how serious from some of the articles I read, they kind of framed EPO as one of the, I guess one of the quote unquote worst things you can take. I guess because it is a needle, because that's something you can't. If you take EPO, they know you're cheating. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. You didn't accidentally do this. This wasn't a setup. You sat down and thought this out and you just did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you watch his apology video?
I like watching TJ Dillashaw fight. Do not like listening to him talk.
Yeah, I watched the minute clip of it. I didn't watch the full thing. I don't know.
Was it a non-apology or
No, well, from the minute I saw, I don't think he really dodged it. He didn't really. His whole thing was he felt worse for, I guess, his teammates and his coaches and everything, because a lot of them are getting dragged into it, and I guess he didn't want it to be a thing like they knew what he was doing and they were all in on it, and this was some maniacal, mastermind game plan or whatever. So I get that. I respect that. He didn't want his teammates or anybody close to him to get thrown under the bus. So I guess in that way he was owning it. But like I said, I didn't even watch the full video. But I don't think he was really dodging it. But at the same time, it's kind of yeah, bro, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You are screwed, buddy.
Yeah, it's weird watching everybody lose their mind, because the judge in the Mark Hunt case said PEDs are completely fine.
Yeah.
That is a thing. That is a ruling, yep. And I feel like USADA's not respecting it.
TJ Dillashaw was well within his right to
drug himself to the gills,
according to a court of law.
Yeah, you can't debate it. I mean, you can, but then you need to go to law school. Who wants to do that?
Takes a lot of time and money and effort that you probably just don't have.
Right.
But I don't know. It's not really much to dissect about the situation. Like you got popped.
Can we talk about Uriah Faber saying he's surprised that TJ didn't get popped earlier? Basically admitting he knew that TJ was on PDs.
What I was gonna say, kind of tying into that, was I had heard that since he popped for this, like they were gonna go back and look at his prior tests, which had me thinking, like, how did they not catch this before?
So apparently you need to specifically test for EPO. Like, it doesn't show up in like a regular drug test. You have to actually I don't know if it's like a kit thing or like the type of sample they need, or if it requires just a totally separate test from the original test. But it's something you specifically need to look for, and it also has a redonkulously short half-life. So if you know when the test is coming, or you have like a rough idea, you'll be able to get away with using it.
Okay. Well, that could potentially spell worse news for Dillashaw, because I think I had also read that, that they're gonna go back and look at all of his older tests, and if
I looked that up just a few minutes ago, and according to Jeff Novinsky, they did test Dillashaw for EPO, for both the Garbrandt fights, and they came back negative. So.
Okay, cool. Because I was gonna say, from what I read, like if they went back and found more, that he that could potentially add on to the sentence. Like that would still count against him as a strike per se, and that could make it worse. I'm just gonna guess that probably for the Cejudo fight, since he was dropping down in weight, maybe he just didn't want to. I don't know. Maybe that was a way to offset the depletion of his body. I'm guessing. I don't know. I ain't a scientist. I don't really know how any of this works, but from my very minimal understanding, I'm guessing that's maybe why he did it. And boy, did it not matter or help at all. Bless you.
Thank you. I made my piece knowing about what I think about PEDs and steroids and shit, and I don't really buy into the whole cheating argument. If it's gonna be banned, it should be banned for fighter safety, not for cheating.
I don't know. It's all a weird. It's all a weird thing for me. I never really know what to. Because there's a part of me that, and this doesn't even just apply to MMA. Pretty much, I would say professional athletes in general. And this isn't to make an excuse for anybody, but that's such. To be a professional athlete, no matter what sport you're playing, that's such a physical grind, day in, day out. You have to constantly work out.
It is literally unhealthy.
Right. And even in sports, in other sports where you might have a quote unquote off season, you still need to work out and do some kind of, it might be not as much as you would do during a regular season, but you still have to keep yourself in good shape. You still have to be ready. You know. And it's just, I almost have a hard time thinking there's no way. Everybody has to be on something, because it almost just seems humanly impossible. You do such this physical grind, something that is so physically and mentally demanding every day, day in, day out. You probably took a supplement here or there. And I don't know, maybe there's some guys who didn't. I don't know. It's just...
imagine how much better Chris Weidman's career would be if he was on, PED so he could actually stay healthy. So he didn't have to have 5 neck surgeries, you know what I mean?
He just went to 205. But...
That's it, but let's not talk crazy.
But...
And there's so little in the way of help for these dudes. This is the example I always go back to. Cain Velasquez using what was it, CBD oil, just so he can walk. Like, I can't imagine the amount of pain you have to be in, where like walking causes you so much discomfort, and you are training for a fight.
And that's just how you start off your day, just in pain, the second you wake up. Yeah, I mean, I do kind of understand the cheating aspect because it is one of those things. Like let's say, for example, the Dillashaw Cejudo fight, like let's just say it did go 5 rounds, and somehow like Dillashaw won. You could say like if it wasn't for that EPO, you might have not had that extra oomph in like those 4th and 5th. So I don't know. It's so.
Well, like like that's just a resource thing then. And at that point, like nobody, it's never fair because like, and there's another example I would like to go back to. John Lineker, when he first got to UFC, did not have any of his coaches with him because they couldn't afford the flight, and he was training at like a small boxer-sized gym where he was the only pro fighter, and he fought Luis Gaudino, who trains at one of the biggest gyms in like the Northeast of the United States. Like like one of the most well-equipped, like well-connected gyms in the Northeast. Like that's a resource in like inequality.
I don't know. It's a gray. I think the only reason it's like I kind of get both sides. The only reason it's hard for me to just be so definitive is because I don't know the science of all of this, and I feel like I'd be kind of I'd be jumping out on a whim if I just kind of said, oh.
I think the point is just like I could take EPO and still not beat Henry Cejudo.
Right. I could take EPO and I'd still get trashed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, neither could freaking Dillashaw. But like the point being, like, there's more to it than just I took a drug and it made me a superhero.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's that black and white because if that was the case, there are plenty of people who've been busted for performance enhancers who still turned out to be nobodies. So it ain't just the drugs. That's why I'm not so quick. And this is a whole nother tangent. I'll wrap this up in a bit because we got other news. But that's the only reason why I don't. Even like when a great fighter, let's say like like Anderson Silva got busted for his. I'm still not. Yeah. I still can't take away the GOAT status because to me it's not just the drugs. Because if that was the case, we'd have a bunch of Anderson Silvas running around, and that's not the case. So you can't.
Yeah, because everybody's on drugs.
So you can't tell me that even if he did take them. Same with like John Jones, you still can't tell me these dudes aren't immensely talented. Maybe they got a little extra, maybe they got a little extra something. But you can't tell me they still don't just have outright like amazing talent. Because if that was the case, it would just be I took a drug, a performance enhancer. I'm now Superman. I'm number one, and that does not work the same for everybody. I don't know. Maybe just not all steroids are created equal. I don't know. But, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. But
we would need an actual like PED specialist. On the podcast. We should get TJ Dillashaw. There we go. He's not doing anything.
There we go. Yeah. He looked a little puffy in that video.
I mean, he is probably literally just sitting at home doing nothing.
He looked a little full in the face. But TJ Dillashaw, man, he's out of here for 2 years. So
I mean, you can still catch him in these Toyo Tires commercials.
Yeah, those are everywhere.
Yeah.
So. We'll see TJ Dillashaw on his 35th birthday. We'll see how that turns out. BJ Penn.
Probably not well.
BJ Penn, he's
sadder news.
Yeah, he's in the news again. Not for anything good. Fortunately, it's another story I do not have in front of me. But he was he's got some sexual assault charges. Kind of hovering over him right now. Allegations from I don't think that was his wife. I think they were just girlfriend, but they've just been together for like a long time. Can't remember. I don't think he's actually. I don't know. But either way, his partner,
a strange girlfriend.
His partner, whom he's been with for like a pretty long time. I think they have children together. She's accusing him of, I think it's been like sexual assault, verbal, against her, and that he's had verbal like altercations, I guess like with the kids and other family members. Not looking good.
Yeah, apparently it was first filed back in October, and she got the restraining order in February. And it's good through 2021. It's worth nothing, like, and I always hate bringing up he hasn't been charged yet, shit, because it sounds like I'm defending him. I just wanted to put it out there. He has not been arrested or charged with anything. But it's kind of weird how much this behavior lines up with the previous incident where BJ was involved with one of the former writers for his website, bjpenn.com. I don't remember the man's name, but he threw some serious allegations at him, and they were backed up by some credible people. Let's put it that way. Nothing came of that either, but
yeah, that guy ended up leaving He left
the site. They did investigate. I don't think they had, like, I other than a few interviews, I don't know what else they possibly could have thought I found. Yeah, like it's one thing if this came out the blue. It's another thing if like there is not some sort of like smoke, and there's been smoke here.
And I mean, I'm never quick to comment on things like this because I like to just wait until information comes out before I just kind of jump out there. But yeah, man. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's known that BJ Penn is like a jerk. Maybe not previously, like, you know, up to the level of like sexual assault, but like it's not so far fetched, I guess.
Yeah, when you connect the dots, like I said, of the story with the writer, and like I said, I'm still just gonna wait for more details, but it doesn't look good for BJ. Like that writer thing just kind of makes it. If you read into that story, I think it was like he was trying to get the dude's girlfriend, or it was something. It was something wild.
He was like trying to force that dude, like he forced himself on that dude's girlfriend, and apparently there was an eyewitness to the incident. I don't want to bring up her name because she still works in like MMA media, but it's probably really easy to find out there.
It was
So, as for the implications of this being known publicly, as far as I know, the UFC has released no statement, and BJ Penn is still supposed to fight at UFC 237 next month against Clay Guida. So,
which is a fight that none of us really need to see.
Yeah, so I don't know if like I didn't watch the post-fight press conference last night. I didn't watch any of the I don't know if Dana White still does the scrums during the week. I don't think he does. But I've not seen anybody ask Dana the question on BJ Penn, like on his status, on if the UFC is going to comment.
Well, BJ's team released a statement. I'll read this real quick. So this is a statement via his website, bjpenn.com. So it says, BJ is in a highly contested child custody case involving his two young daughters. The order of protection has made serious allegations against BJ. The allegations are so misleading, hurtful, and false that any further comment by BJ or about BJ would cause more damage to the well-being of his children and potentially further inflame the pending custody proceedings. BJ and his family ask that you respect their privacy at this very difficult time. And then it goes on to mention some of the, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's accusing Penn of striking her on several different occasions, threatening to kill her mother. She had some kind of verbal spat with her mom. She also alleged that Penn has been a drug addict and wanted to commit suicide. Yeah, it's some wild stuff. Basically saying like she feels for the safety of her and her children. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. And like I said, yeah, Penn is still scheduled to fight Clay Guida at UFC 237 for whatever reason. I don't know why we got that fight. Why? Nobody asked for this. that's another issue. But yeah, just a really messy situation. But you know, we'll see how that unfolds as more details come out. And I guess the last bit of news, I don't even know if it's a lot to dive in, but apparently Conor got in some altercation, like punched somebody or something. That's what happened.
Yes. Some man made fun of him at a club for getting beat up by Khabib Nurmagomedov. So they punched him. And apparently that was that. And he's being investigated for that. So.
But that actually what happened with that? Just we just came to that.
No, that is like it's from the sound of it. He did punch somebody in the club.
No, I meant the Khabib.
Oh yeah, no, that apparently that's what the guys. That's what an eyewitness to the incident said, who spoke with oh God, what was the name? It wasn't the Guardian. Was it RTE? It was one of those like Irish sites or UK based sites. Yeah. So, you know, Connor's out here still cruising down the highway to self-destruction.
Well, still trying to get himself a new UFC deal, which I don't understand how that works, but I don't know. We'll see. A lot of it's MMA. Things just get messy. Just the dark side of the sport, unfortunately. But we'll keep an eye on all of those stories. We'll see how everything unfolds. But that's pretty much it for news and notes this week. So as far as fights, I'll start with one championship since I got a chance to watch some of that. And then we can move on to boxing. I'll let you cover bare knuckle, or we can just read results. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I just want to mention the president real quick. That's it. Like I even watched the Jason Knight Artem Lobov fight, even though it's supposedly really good.
All right. Well, let's just start with that then. We'll start with that real quick.
Right.
If you want to. Well, I got the results in front of me. So if you listen to this podcast, you guys know my stance on bare knuckle. I'm not really this ain't for me. it's just really, this ain't my thing. This by all means I should enjoy this because I enjoy chaos and this should be right up my alley, but for some reason this just is not. This ain't my thing. But anywho, bare knuckle FC 5 went down. I don't remember what day this was. But it was headlined by Artem Lobov and Jason Knight. From all accounts that I've heard and seen via Twitter, apparently it was a really awesome fight. Artem Lobov won via unanimous decision, and everybody said it was an awesome fight. I saw the pictures; they both looked really cut up and bloody. So, I can imagine just between the styles of Lobov and Jason Knight, I'm pretty sure it was a good fight. Like two dudes who just probably just went in there and just threw hands until until they couldn't no more. But Lobov won that fight. Other names that were on the card: Chris Lieben knocked out Justin Baseman in round 1, 25 seconds. Chase Sherman was on the card. It was a split draw versus Sam Shoemaker. Former UFC fighter Isaac Valali Flagg defeated Randy Hederick via TKO. Former UFC fighter Johnny Bedford defeated Abdil Velasquez. Oh, they had a lightweight tournament. All right, that was the thing. So I guess he advanced in the tournament. He won via KO. And Christine Ferreira defeated Britton Hart via TKO doctor stoppage. I don't remember what fight the president was mad at, but I'll let you take over from here, because he was not happy.
Yeah. So hold up. I'm just seeing what the fight was. Oh wow, they don't even mention the fucking fight in the article they wrote on it.
That must have been that bad.
Yeah, so after one of these fights, literally right after, the president of the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship organization, what's his name? David Feldman. Um, he hopped in the ring real quick after a particularly uneventful fight where one fighter was on his bicycle the entire time, not really engaging. He hopped into the ring, and proceeded to say that he was ridiculously disappointed in here's the man's name, Rusty Crowder, for not getting into a brawl. Um, and he basically said, "You fight or you don't get paid," and then cut the man's salary in half. It should be noted that I guess later that night, he backed off. He did not end up taking half of Crowder's purse, but that is a very dangerous precedent to set. That's how fighters stop signing with your promotion.
Yeah. Especially and I'd imagine that's a lot of legal trouble because I imagine you guys signed the contract, and I don't think anywhere in there it probably said if your fight isn't fun, quote unquote.
Because that's very arbitrary, right. And it's just a nice reminder that the people who turn out to be fight promoters are kind of pathological like power mongers or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you give them an inch, they will abuse the crap out of you.
Yeah. So that was almost a thing. Well, speaking of bare knuckle, apparently they signed Brennan Ward.
Oh shit! It's about to get real.
That's a thing. But you know what though? I'm glad we actually, you know what? I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm glad we did talk about bare knuckle because it did remind me of something that I saw. I'll give Artem Lobov a shout out. Actually, I saw a video that he did. I think it was with Ariel Helwani, and I think it was towards the end of the video, and he gave a nice little spiel that I agreed with about fighter pay, and he was saying how the whole show a fighter will get 10 to show, 10 to win,
Yeah.
He was saying how that is so basically saying that's archaic. There should be no win bonus. We should all be getting a flat. You should be getting a flat pay. There shouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't remember the whole speech, but he was spit. He had bars. I agreed 110% with every point he made. But yeah, basically he just went on a long spiel about how it's not fair how fighters are. They basically they get the short end of the stick every time. There shouldn't be any bonuses or in terms of a win bonus. If you show up and you fight, you need to get paid flat out. No 10 to show, 10 to win. You're hurting people's pockets. You're hurting people's families. It's not like these organizations, well, especially the UFC, especially with an ESPN deal. It's not like y'all don't have the money to do this. But yeah,
they just don't have the incentive to do it.
Right. So I mean, if you get it,
which is why fighters should unionize.
Exactly. You guys need your own NFLPA or whatever the NBA's is called, because there's a lot of money being thrown around, and you guys are not. Y'all are not getting the good checks.
So for a quick minute, the purses were actually going up. So when they first moved over to what was it, FS1, they bumped the purse rate up because it used to be 6 and 6, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bumped it up to 8 and 8, and then they bumped it up to 10 and 10, and I want to say it's 12 and 12 now. I could be wrong about that, but when Endeavor or WME or whatever the hell they call themselves now, when they bought the UFC, I think part of the deal was that because Dana was still going to be there, that they basically locked in the contract prices so they could keep their operating costs down. There was a whole thing where they cut a whole bunch of UFC employees because WME just put a bunch of their guys on payroll in those positions. But I think one of the conditions or orders or whatever you want to call them that WME had in place was basically we're going to freeze all tiers of payment. So like basically, yeah, the UFC is now making $500 million right out the gate every year before we talk about sponsor money and extra pay-per-view revenue, but the base pay is just the same.
Yeah. So everybody else is getting paid, but you, the guy who's putting in the work, who's the literal product, So shout out to Lowball for that spiel. If you guys get a chance, go watch that little interview clip. It was a nice one. So
poo to Alan Joban, who basically was like, the UFC will eventually pay us more.
Yeah, bro, that's not if you're waiting for the man to finally do the right thing, you're gonna be waiting for a long time. You're gonna have to force their hand at some point. But that was Bare Knuckle FC 5. Moving on to One Championship. They had a card that was early on Friday morning, which was somehow on Bleacher Report and YouTube. I don't know how any of this works anymore, but all of that aside,
I like my theory where, and I don't know this because I've never paid for Bleacher Report service, but I like to assume literally you pay whatever, it's like $8 for the card, and then you go through the little portal and it's just a YouTube video. Like Bleacher Report doesn't have its own video service, so they just use unlisted YouTube videos.
They send you through that black hole that NASA found. You just pop out on YouTube. But yeah, so I don't know what One Championship is doing with that. But they had a card on Friday. I had to sneak and watch it at work, so I didn't catch all of it. But the parts I saw actually were pretty good. So I'll list off some of the eventful fights and things that happened. It was headlined by Martin Nguyen and Jadamba. I don't know how to say Jadamba's first name. It is very long. Naranchilag. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry.
Naranchilag.
They all just called him Jadamba.
Like
we just call him Jadamba. But shout out to Martin Nguyen, man. They said before this fight that he moved his training camp. He moved to Florida. I can't remember what gym he went to. But whatever he did in Florida, it worked. He looked really sharp in his fight. This is probably some of the better striking I've seen from him. And boy, oh boy, that finish was brutal. He caught Jadamba with like a leg kick and backed him up. And I don't think Jadamba was ready for the flying knee that was in his face 2 seconds later. And he just dropped. Martin Nguyen looked really good in that fight. Whatever he did at Florida, keep doing it. Because he looked really comfortable on his feet. He looked really confident. And that was for his featherweight title. So shout outs to Martin Nguyen, man. That was a really awesome performance. That was really the main event and co-main event were both had really crazy finishes. Really just a good way to cap off that card, which is pretty solid. So Martin Nguyen won via flying knee. That was in round 2. So yeah, that was a great finish. Go look that up if you haven't seen it.
I saw like that. That's a knockout of the year contender.
Yeah, like that was. That was so clean. Like, yeah, you guys go watch that, man. Like that's one of the cleanest flying knees you'll ever see. And just like it was a walk off. Like he didn't need to follow up. Like it was over. So that was a great finish. Moving on to the co-main event, which was the flyweight championship between Joshua Pacio and Yosuke Tsuruta. Tsuruta was the champ. That is no longer the case after he took it was almost a head kick, but it ended up it was like one of those situations where it looked like a head kick, but it was really like the knee that caught him. And
yeah, like Moraes Aljamain
basically, yeah. And Tsuruta just died. Like, he just died. Like, face plant, no movement. It's over. Like, it's no debate. He's not living anymore. So Pacio took his belt back with the thud, man, with some force.
Authority.
Yeah, authority. Yeah, he just it don't get much cleaner than that. He wiped Saruta out. So that was a really awesome finish. Just just way to just put some oomph on your performance. So those were really awesome main event and co-main event. So go watch those if you didn't. Other noticeable fights: Tatsumi Tsuwada defeated Gustavo Ballart via decision. Leandro Iso caught Shang Jinfu with a really nice armbar. That was a pretty good fight. James Nakashima, former LFA guy, he is still undefeated. A bit controversial because it ended via injury, and it looked like it was not going to be an easy fight for Nakashima, but Nakashima got the win via injury in round 2 over Luis Santos. Wouldn't mind seeing them run that back because Luis was definitely making Nakashima have to work. Hopefully Santos is okay, but Nakashima got the win via injury, or they call it a TKO. Edward Kelly defeated Sung Jung Lee via TKO. Anderson Silva, not the Spider, but the kickboxer, former Anderson Braddock Silva. He made his way over to one championship. He got a KO over Andre Muner in a kickboxing bout. So, look out for him. One championship is, always heavy into the kickboxing, so I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing Anderson some more. I can't really comment on any of these other fights. Didn't really get to see any of them. But, just go check it out. This was one championship, Roots of Honor. It was a pretty good card. I don't know how to rewatch this. I don't know what Bleach Report's doing. I don't know if you can go back and watch these on YouTube. But if you do anything,
you can watch on YouTube. I watched the while you were in the news, I was watching the Saruta Palacio fight on YouTube.
So yeah, if you do anything, go back, watch Pacio Saruta, and watch Martin Nguyen and Jadamba. Both just really epic finishes, and like you said, that flying knee from Martin, that's a KO of the year candidate for that flying knee. So that was one championship, Roots of Honor, and then I'll let you cover these two. You're more of the boxing guy than I am, and I didn't get to see any of these.
So Vasyl Lomachenko got fed Anthony Crolla, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. Because basically Vasyl just unhinged his jaw and swallowed Crolla whole. What was it like? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember what round it ended in. Fourth round, yeah. So it was about 10-11 minutes of Vasyl just battering this poor man who had no chance of beating him, and then knocking him out with a left hook that sounded like he was punching the side of a wall.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't see the fight in the whole, but I saw some highlights.
I'm sorry, a right hook, but yeah, no.
Yeah, this was it's what we call a body bag.
Is it called a mismatch?
Yeah, that too.
Like I feel bad for Crolla because he was the mandatory for one of the titles. Like he's not completely undeserving, I guess. But at the same time, it was just like Crolla can't run. Like he physically is not capable of running. He hurt his ankle. I don't remember how. But he has like plates in it, and he's not able to run. And movement is super important, especially when you're going to be fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. And the way Crolla hit the floor after Lomachenko hit him was scary. It was a face plant. It wasn't like a normal face plant. It was just like it wasn't even in slow motion. It was just like his body forgot how to stand.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's the Shang Tsung Soul Taker. That's
yeah.
Oof.
Like he doesn't face plant down. Like he goes down to his knees and then lands on his head, and his head is just there, like angled up, still trying to look at Lomachenko, but he is clearly like down, and he is like out. Like the referee is like having to pull him over and turn him over so that he does not swallow his mouthpiece.
I'm actually going back to watch it now. Oh my. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, like full on body bag mode,
yeah. like he. Oh man.
Like you legitimately feel concerned and bad for the man.
Because it's like he was out, and it was like his knees were still. Yeah, like he didn't flatten his body. His knees were. It was like he was still trying to hold himself up, but he was not there. Like, Jesus, he was just like hunched over, just dead. Like, oh man, yeah, that's yikes.
Right.
Not much else you can say.
That was supposed to be what's his face. Was it Richard Comey? It was supposed to be Richard Comey. Who I believe got hurt back in February, so they just went with Crolla, who kind of got, as Bob Arum put it, got forced on them.
Well.
But yeah, no. Hopefully they do the Comey fight, and then they do the Mikey Garcia fight, and then Lomachenko retires before he actually kills somebody.
So is him and Tank? Is that ever gonna be a thing?
Who knows? Like he threw it out there, but like he threw it out there. Somebody asked him in the post fight, and I think he said he's the best fighter on Twitter. So I don't know what that indicates as far as, I know they want to fight each other. I don't know if their promoters will let it happen though.
I feel like that would be a fun. Well, I don't know, maybe because it's really hard for me to judge like boxers' popularity because I pay attention, but I'm not like that close attention, and I think my Tank popularity is kind of amplified because I live in Maryland, so I hear about him a lot here.
Right. He is on the rise. He is becoming one of the top TV draws. Though that number is kind of skewed because he's fighting on Showtime, and Terrence Crawford and Vasyl Lomachenko and all the top ranked fighters are fighting on ESPN, and you have a whole bunch of dudes on the Zone, and it's just messy. And the numbers are hard, but Tank does good numbers on Showtime.
Well, we'll see. And then we also, in other boxing news, the Claressa.
Yes, so Claressa Shields and Christina Hammer faced off to become like the second women to ever be the undisputed unified champion of their division. The only other woman to do it is Cecilia Breakhouse, who unified all the belts at 147. And after like one round of success with the jab, Hammer spent the last 18 minutes of the fight getting the crap beat out of her. She was just too fast, too powerful. Like there were points of this fight where like it looked like the ref was going to stop the fight, but Hammer just found ways to hang on, literally grab on, and get some rest. If the ref was really quick to break up a lot of the clinch fighting where Claressa was having a lot of success. Honestly, if she had been allowed to fight in the clinch more, or if women had 3-minute rounds, she probably would have stopped Hammer here. So it was easily the best performance of her career. She is now the unified women's middleweight champion. And after her fight, she called out Cecilia Breakhouse for a fight at 154 pounds. And That's a fight I would love to see.
There we go. Claressa's continuing to just do Claressa things. Just
I like to point out, like I've been genuinely I was genuinely surprised with the amount of people just tweeting about it and like posting about it yesterday.
Yeah, I've been had a couple people at my job who were who have been talking about it, who knew who Claressa Shelds was. So
that's so crazy to me because I've been basically since I started this blog, like I've been following women's boxing and talking about it, and it feels like it never goes anywhere unless it's like the Olympics. And even then, you don't like even when you talk about them like in between the Olympic periods, like it's like me talking to myself. And now it's just crazy to see like Claressa's name out there like that, like where she's getting the amount of attention your average Showtime main event gets, which is so much more than like one of the top women middleweights on the planet. Or I think she's a junior middleweight now. Her name is Alicia Napoleon. She's like a top 5, top 7 middleweight or junior middleweight. She fought on Fight Pass this past Thursday. At like this, like not even in the main event. Like she was, I want to say she was like the 4th or 5th fight from the main event, and that's the level of attention I'm used to like talking about when it comes to women's fights. Right. But here, Claressa is headlining on Showtime, so. We've come a long way in like the past 3 years.
You would like to hope that maybe we're it's still slow. I emphasize that it's still slow, but like maybe this is the
Katie Taylor has yet to headline a card, which is insane to me.
Maybe this is like the very 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 beginning stages of that tide being turned.
Right.
Possibly. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But no,
I think what's going to happen is like what's happening. Like so on the undercard for the Shields fight, another woman fought. She was a Russian woman. I have to pull up her name to be able to pronounce it. Sorry. So event. Her name is Elena Gradinar. She did not win, but she's signed to the same promotion as Claressa Shields. Salida Promotions. She's a featherweight, and all the featherweight titles are currently held by North American champions. She was fighting for the interim IBF title, which is held by Jennifer Hahn, who is currently inactive because she's pregnant. One is held by Heather Hardy, and the other is held by Joanna Mrvenovic from Canada. I don't know about Joanna in Canada. I don't know if her fights get televised, but Heather Hardy's fights as of late have been televised. And my thought process was, Salida Promotions went to Russia to sign the featherweight so they could get a TV fight with Heather Hardy. I think that's what we're going to see with the middleweight, junior middleweight, or super welterweight, whatever you want to call it, and welterweight divisions, 147 to 164. Or 60, my bad, where we're going to see promotions sign women like a Randy Miller, a Fresh-on Cruz, who can get TV dates with Claressa Shields, because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
So I expect somebody to sign Randy Miller real soon to like a good contract and try to get her on some big undercards. Because I think she's next.
I was gonna say, hopefully this all leads to the women's boxing in general just being promoted more. Because I think in general, like, people don't know what they don't know. Like, a lot of people just, at first, maybe didn't know about Claressa Shields because you don't even see women's boxing. Like, unless you're, like, really, really into it, it's a thing that's been happening for a while, but unless it's, like, really put in your face, you kind of don't.
Women have been boxing literally just as long as men have been boxing. It hasn't always been sanctioned, but since the days where boxing was literally a circus sport, women have been doing it too.
Right. And it's just like you just need to put it out there. And like people just like violence. I feel like it doesn't matter who's doing it. It don't matter who's getting punched. Sure, you'll have some stupid people who are still stuck in like the 20s, like women shouldn't fight, but nobody cares about them. They're whatever. But
could be
right. But it's like if people know that there's somebody who's really good at fighting, and you can put together a good highlighter reel of them putting some paws on somebody, they're gonna tune in. There's a reason that like even casual people at my job like knew who Claressa Shelds was, and were like just halfway interested in seeing the fight because they saw some clips, they saw her throwing down, and they were like, oh, I want to watch this because it's on Showtime, and I have easy access to it. Just throw them out there.
Right.
Like, stop treating the women like they're like aliens or something. Like it's some impossible thing to sell. Like it's a fight. It's isn't rocket science. Like, if she can fight and she does it well, I don't, you get what I'm trying to say. But just throw them out there, man. Like we all like fighting. Nobody cares who's doing it. If it's a fight, we're gonna watch. Just promote it like you would anything else. But yeah, that was boxing for the week. So.
All right, just really quick, because I just remembered he fought last night. Remember Peter Quillen? Kid Chocolate?
Sounds familiar.
He's the dude who got knocked out by Danny Jacobs inside of a round.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, I think I do remember him.
Yeah, he fought again last night, and he fought to what was it, a no contest, I think? A no contest? No decision? Yeah, it was really weird. There were like 3 no contest bouts televised over the weekend for boxing. But he fought yesterday. I just wanted to bring that up because he's a former like guy, like somebody who in theory should have been a champion. He was a champion, but should have been like a contender, but just made a bunch of money and fucked off. I mean, can't blame him.
Yeah. Get the bag, get out of there.
I mean, it's the healthiest way to live, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey. I'm not mad. I do the same. Give me my, excuse me.
Dude, if I ever got to the point where I got a $20 million check for a fight,
I'm out of here.
I'm done.
I'm out of here.
That's my retirement plan. I never have to work again.
I am out of here. Forget integrity and, I got to be the best. No, I just need my bank account to be good. Yeah, I'm out of here. But that was all the other fights that went down this weekend. So this leads us to the main event of the evening, UFC 236, Holloway Poirier 2, which went down at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Real quick before we get started, shout outs to the good folks at Technical Foul. Every time there is a pay-per-view, I do write-ups of the pay-per-views and give predictions and such. And I post them on their site, so that is www.technicalfoul.com. That is Technical Foul spelled with a K, T-E-C-K-N-I-C-A-L, foul.com. So go give those a read. I always post them on my social media before, normally like the day before the card. So shout out to them. Thanks for letting me post and blab and give wrong predictions. Well, I got one of 2 right between this main event and co-main event. So let's just get to it, man. UFC 236, headlined by Holloway Poirier 2. This is a rematch, like 7 years in the making. I think the first time they fought was like 2012-ish, 2014. I don't know. My years are messed up. It was some time ago.
It was 2012. Yeah. It was 7 years ago.
Holloway was like 19. Or he was like 20. He was but a young buck. It was weird because
it was his 5th pro fight.
Right. It was weird. I went back and I rewatched that fight, and it was just weird how both of them looked. Like Poirier was really small. Holloway looked like a child. It's like, man, we've come a long way. We've come a long way. But even that little baby Holloway was still really good. He just got taken down, and after that, it was kind of over. But nah, man, I was. It's weird because when this fight first got announced, I felt some kind of way because of like all the chaos that was surrounding like lightweight, and it was holding up titles. There was just a lot going on. But the closer we got to the fight, the more I just kind of like, all right, I just need to accept this for what it is, and I just warmed up to it a lot more and just accepted it as this is just gonna be an amazing fight, no matter who wins, no matter what happens. this is gonna be great, and boy, did it not disappoint, man. This was everything I pretty much thought it was gonna be. Other than I did, this was the one prediction I did get right in terms of main event, co-main event. I did pick Poirier to win. I actually did think he was gonna be able to get the stoppage, but man, Max, man,
best chin in the sport besides maybe Yoel Romero.
Dude, Max. I know Max lost, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but Max Holloway is like unreal in terms of like toughness, a chin, cardio. Just he is literally a guy who you have to like literally kill him for him to lose. Like he just does not. The man does not go away. I wrote in my prediction and breakdown of this fight that the one advantage that I thought was going to make the most difference, and I think did make the most difference in this fight, was just the power difference. Like, Poirier at 155 has just, he just has some extra heat in his hands that we've seen time and time again since he's been at 155. And I wasn't sure if Max was really going to be able to, because Max isn't a one-shot, knockout kind of guy. He's more of a, I just overwhelm you, and just after an accumulation, and you just can't breathe for 4 rounds. Eventually, you're just gonna fold. But Poirier's power was, I think, enough to win, and I can't really say keep Max at bay. I guess that's the way I could describe it, if that even works. But nah, man, this was an amazing fight. Dude just came out it was just hands galore, pretty much for what I thought it was going to be and what it turned out to be. But Poirier just was able to land a lot more of the power shots that really, it seemed like when they did throw, not to say that Holloway's shots didn't hurt Poirier, because there were moments where Holloway would get off a nice string, a nice combination, a nice blitz. He had some really nice body shots. He did a good job of mixing it up and just really putting the pressure on Poirier at moments. But you could just tell when they exchanged, like, Poirier's punches just had a little extra oomph to him. Like, when Poirier would catch him flush, he stunned him a couple times. He had him wobbled a couple times. Poirier just hits different. There's a lot of extra sting in his punches. And I thought Poirier to me, I don't know if he's better, but I like his way of putting together combinations. And that mixed in with his power, I thought would just make him a bit more dangerous on the feet as long as he could survive the onslaught. It was just a nice, I didn't say nice, it was an amazing just back and forth. Poirier landing power shots, Max refusing to die and staying in Poirier's face. There was a moment, I think in like the 3rd round, when I finally realized, like, oh, Max isn't going to die. Like, I for a second, I thought Max might end up stealing the fight. Because he did have a really good, I want to say, like 4th and 5th round, where his volume just seemed to just, like, it almost like increase. Like, he just refused to die. And he managed to wobble Poirier a couple times, just kept moving forward. The body shots I did think start to pay dividends, because Poirier, I thought, did start to slow down. But I think his power just always kept him in the fight. Like, Max always had to be, I want to say cautious, but he didn't really fight like he was cautious, but like he still had to be wary of the power, because if Poirier would catch him flush, he could rock him at any moment. But geez Louise, this was like a classic, man. These two dudes just all war. Holloway's face was a crime scene by the end of the fight. Poirier didn't look as busted up as I thought he would, considering the volume that he did take, but he wore it pretty well. But yeah, amazing fight, man. Just that was a classic. Just yeah, that was this was everything I thought it was gonna be and more.
It's such a weird fight because it really does feel like neither dude deserves to lose, and that's not even on like, oh, Max hung in the fight after he got hurt. That's like, oh no, he did. Like, there is a legitimate argument that you could score that fight like 48-47 Max Holloway. Like, like the knee that in the 3rd or 4th round that just completely busted open Holloway's face. That came towards the end of a round where Holloway was basically, I won't say he was running away with it, but he was ahead.
Yeah, he was winning.
And there were a few rounds like that where like Holloway was pouring on volume. He was backing Poirier into the face. Into the fence. He was he was hitting him with these 5-6 strike combinations. And then towards the end of the round, Poirier would pull something out of his ass that would just send him for a loop, and it would be the most memorable strike landed in the round. Like I feel like anywhere from like 48-46 Poirier to like 48-47 Holloway was like an acceptable, perfectly acceptable card. Poirier, just this is the same dude who got lit up by KZ.
Right.
like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Like that's insane. Like he has completely fundamentally changed the type of striker he is. He is no longer like, because he used to be just a straight up brawler. Now he is like a legitimately good boxer.
Yeah.
Like one of the best at 155. I also think he's the best puncher south of 170. Like better than Conor. Like I am like part of me feels like I'm not giving this fight enough like brain space just because of the fight that came before it. But this was an absolute classic. And I really hope they give Poirier the title fight. Not to move off the fight too quick, but like that type of performance, he absolutely earned it.
Yeah. At this point, yeah, you can't. I don't think he can really be denied anymore. Like whether or not
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I know. But it's like whether or not you think he would beat Khabib is kind of irrelevant. To say that he doesn't deserve that shot at least is crazy to me. Like the dude he might be one of the most like improved fighters I've ever seen. Like his jump from, like you said, he completely just revamped himself. Like he doesn't even look like the same. Even if you look at the first fight with Holloway, which he still won, that he doesn't look like the same guy. Like he's completely different, and it's I don't know what to say. Like the dude is just he's earned his stripes. Like every bit of success and any accolade that Poirier earned and he gets, he's earned 110%. And I'll give him this. I was impressed that because we know with Holloway, like gas tank is never an issue. He can go 5 rounds. If there were 6 rounds, 7 rounds, I bet Holloway could still put on that kind of pace. I was surprised that Poirier was still, even though there were moments where he got overwhelmed, just the fact that he never got completely broken. And compared to a lot of other fighters that Holloway has fought, he was able to keep a good enough pace to win him the fight still. Like, he didn't allow himself to get completely overwhelmed and broken in those later rounds. And like I said, I think
we've seen his composure just melt away before, and it just never went away here. Like he never looked like he never had that deer in the headlights look like he had against McGregor, for example. Despite the fact that he was getting touched here more than he was against McGregor.
Yeah, this man, oh man, both guys just it was one of those fights where like I knew this was gonna be good, but even still watching it was like, man, I didn't think this was gonna be.
This is the best this sport has to offer.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where you remember like, oh, this is why I love MMA. Because like I get one of every so often I get one of these kind of fights where it's like, this was a special moment. Like I'm glad I saw this in real time, and this is something I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna remember this fight for a long time because of just how great it was.
Yeah.
And like I said, props and just man, props to Poirier for just every time it seemed like he was about to get overwhelmed. Dude just, I don't know where he's drawing the power from, but He just unleashes it. And I love Max's defense of, I'm not clinching. I'm still just going to fight. Like, I'm going to get rocked, and I might back up a little bit, but I'll be back.
I think part of it was he just didn't want to get taken down just because of what happened in their first fight.
Yeah. And
like it's funny, after he had his like real first moment of success, like where he seems like he hurt Poirier. Well, I shouldn't say that because he knocked him down in the first round. Which is actually the only time anybody went to a knee in this fight in terms of like getting rocked, because like Holloway got rocked a lot, but he never went down. Like Poirier actually got knocked down in the first round. But literally, I think it was the exact same sequence. Like a flying knee attempt from Max Holloway gets turned into a takedown attempt by Poirier with his hands against the fence. And Holloway was able to shake it off, but like that's a sequence he went back to later in the fight and was able to get the takedown, even if only for like a brief minute. But here Poirier was using it to get rest between rounds. Or I'm sorry, in the middle of rounds where Holloway seemingly has a bottomless gas tank.
Right.
It's just like, oh my god, it's such a good fight.
And I think those little things just like that, being able to just initiate a takedown, even if you don't do anything, even if it's just to get rest, it was those little things that I think kind of won Poirier the fight. Because I think he's slightly, I don't know if he's more well-rounded than Max, but I feel like he uses more of his tool set, and he can pull out those little subtle things that'll, because in this fight it's a game of inches. Like you kind of need those moments, because this fight could have easily went the other way. Like I said, let's say if he just wasn't really shooting for takedowns, even so the rest, he might have just gotten overwhelmed, and this fight could have went the other direction. But that power just mixed with those other little subtle things that he had in his game, just he was able to pull it through. Like I said, man, his boxing looked great. His chin was great. Poirier's cardio was able to keep up with Holloway's as much as you would hope it would. No, I don't have anything bad to say about either guy. Like this,
honestly, I like. Having seen that, I think this is the worst matchup for Holloway. He'd be fine at 155. But, like, this is a thing where, like, he doesn't lose. Like, he only gains from this. Except maybe his durability, because I don't know how you're the same after that.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody can be the same after that, it's Max Holloway, but like I don't know how you're the same after
that. Yeah, that's one of those fights that could potentially you might have took like 4 years off your life after a fight like that. And it is crazy that he never dropped in that fight, because he caught some hands. Like, make no mistake, he got rocked a couple good times, and
but never touched the mat because of a punch.
Yeah, dude is unreal. But that fight was, you could only hope to follow up the co-main event, which I guess we'll get to in a second, because the co-main event would just put the card on like another level. And I was just even thinking, like, how are they gonna match or follow this up? And I think they did as best they could. I still like the co-main a little better.
The co-main was way more, a tad bit more dramatic.
Yeah,
because there were bodies dropping.
Yeah,
and
it was a lot. It was a lot going on.
It also involves one of the greatest fifth round performances in the history of championship fighting.
Yeah. It's not to be the negative Nancy. It sucks that these are for interim titles. Like, that I word, man.
I mean, I like to think at least they're getting paid like champions. I hope they are.
Yeah, because these were both championship performances.
Yeah.
From all parties involved.
Yeah.
But Poirier won. The scorecards were 49-46 across the board. He got a unanimous decision. To be honest, I stopped scoring the fight like 2 rounds in, because I was just like, I'm just watching at this point. I don't know who's winning. I'm just watching violence, and it is amazing. But Poirier got the win. Give the man his title shot, man. I love Tony too, but
apparently they're going to was it Abu Dhabi in September, and they want Khabib on that card.
Well,
that would be an amazing ass fight. I don't know if I haven't put a whole bunch of thought into Poirier Khabib as like a stylistic matchup, but it's definitely the fight I want to see. That is not the Tony Ferguson fight.
Yeah, let Poirier get his chance, man. That man's been working for his, and he's earned every bit of his check. Like, but that fight was amazing. So if you guys did not get a chance to see Poirier Holloway 2, that's an all-time classic. Go back and watch that. But moving on to the co-main event, man, this might be fight of the year for me.
I don't see how something tops it unless it's like no, I'm trying to think of a fight that could potentially top it. Like just trying to make one up off the fly, and like unless Justin Gaethje can fight a mirror,
right? Like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to. Yeah, co-main event for the interim middleweight title. Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum. Boy, oh boy, like I knew this was a classic. Like it didn't take long. This fight, and I think it caught me off guard because my way I envisioned this fight going was either like Gastelum would be able to pressure him and like eventually clip him and knock him out, or Israel Adesanya would just kind of pick him apart from Kelvin, be able to pick Gastelum apart from range because that reach difference was like 9 inches or something crazy. I guess I didn't envision it being like a back and forth. Either like one was going to do major damage or we were just going to see Adesanya just kind of dance on Gastelum for 5 rounds. And maybe it'd be entertaining, but it wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be anything super crazy. But nah, instant classic. Fight of the year. Good luck to anybody trying to have a better fight than this. Because like you said, it wasn't just the fact that it was a great fight. It was the drama and like the theatrics of it all. Like everything just came together. And even just the order and the way things happen. Like obviously the first round is really tense. We know Gastelum has crazy knockout power. But the question is like, could he actually catch Gastelum? Can he close distance? He manages to. I think he caught him with was it a left? He caught him with.
He caught him with one of those left looping hands.
Yeah, caught him with that left, stumbled him, and at that point it's like, all right, we got to fight. Like, it's going down. And just from that point on, the fight was just so tense because you knew Gastelum had the power to clip him and do major damage. So every swing was like, ooh, is he gonna hit him? But Adesanya just so good defensively. Super just economical with his like shot selection. And this was another one of those fights that by like the second round I just kind of stopped scoring because it was just so many this was one of those fights where like every moment counted. Like everything mattered because one mistake on either end was going to cost these guys the fight. If Adesanya made one mistake, he was going to get clipped, which he got clipped a couple times. If Gastelum made a mistake, he was going to probably get hit with something he didn't even see coming. Adesanya was landing spinning back elbows, like perfectly placed kicks, just really great at range. But Gastelum, who, speaking of chins, who ate a lot of shots and still managed to continually just pushing forward, he caught Adesanya. We've never seen Adesanya's face this bruised up. Like, and I don't remember what round it was that Gastelum caught Adesanya with a head kick.
That was the 4th round.
Like, after all of the and it's so hard to zoom in on specifics because the fight was just there was so much happening. Like, but that moment really stuck out to me because for one, I just didn't see it coming. He catches Adesanya with a head kick. And then Adesanya, he gets that look in his face, like, you get that woozy look, like, oh, that one kind of caught me. And Gastelum swarms on him. And I got so mad. I don't even know who really I was rooting for. I picked Gastelum to win, but I don't know. It was just craziness. But I thought he was just gonna swarm him with strikes, and he went for a takedown. I was like, no, Gastelum, don't do that. Don't. You could have just.
You see, if it was anybody else, I might agree. But like, if we're being real, you have a hurt Israel Adesanya, this dude who not even like a year ago, or was it a year ago? Like my brain's all fuzzy. Yeah, not like literally a year ago to the day, got out wrestled by Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Like I get where Gastelum's brain's going in that moment.
Yeah, because if he could have gotten top control, you know.
If he could have got on top, he probably could have got to his back and got the submission.
Yeah. But man, there were so many great just back and forth moments, and I got to give Adesanya credit because I didn't think, maybe I just haven't been giving him enough credit, which would be dumb on my part. I didn't think he would stun Gastelum as much as he did, but when he did like actually sit and commit on his punches, he was definitely like snapping Gastelum's head, and as we saw in that last round, bro, he dropped him like. He dropped Gastelum like 4 times or something crazy like that. And I don't know how you scored the fight heading into the 5th. It might have been 2-2 because they both were just back and forth. People were getting rocked. Bodies were flying all over the place. Adesanya's face was busted up. Gastelum was getting clipped with shots and picked apart at moments. But that 5th round, like you said, that was one of those rounds where Adesanya just like, he whatever he had left in the reserve, he just emptied out and went to another level. And it was wild because that moment where like Gastelum caught Adesanya in the what was that? I forgot who caught who in the guillotine or the attempted guillotine.
The triangle?
No. There was a standing guillotine at some point because that's how they went to the ground.
Oh, that was Adesanya.
Yeah. Adesanya had the like attempted guillotine. They ended up going to the ground. They had this crazy scramble. And I thought Adesanya was going to be in trouble. It's like, oh, they're going to the ground. Gastelum probably going to have the advantage. Adesanya ends up like going for a triangle. It was so much. That whole sequence was just wild. And then they ended up back on the feet. And Adesanya just goes just ultra instinct in the last round. Drops Gastelum like 3 or 4 times. At one point, I thought he was going to finish the fight. That last time he dropped him, I don't think Gastelum really had anything left, and I think the ref just gave him the benefit of the doubt because it was only like 10 seconds left, so he kind of just let him survive until the end, because Adesanya, I think, almost had him out of there in that last round, but there was... This is one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in my life. It was so good. Just... Whew. Jesus Christ. That was just, it was so good. I can't even really describe. Just, it was amazing. Just greatness. I'll shut up.
Yeah, no, like everything you said, like, my thought process in this fight was Gastelum might catch Adesanya early, but Adesanya is too good of a kickboxer to where if you attack him early because you're faster than him or you have like quick hand speed, he won't get your timing down. Like he will eventually get your timing down, and you know your speed won't mean as much. And that to an extent happened. He caught him in the first round, rocked him, dropped him, whatever you want to say, put him on his butt. Came back in the second, seemed to just have gotten his timing down completely, almost immediately. Had Gastelum like swinging at air, and then on a left-hand attempt from Gastelum, just drops him with a 1-2. Like if Adesanya was gonna hurt Gastelum in this fight, it was gonna be when Gastelum overcommitted, and he did that. I think he thought the left hand would get hit, like after he dropped him, it would just buy him respect instantly, to the point where Adesanya wouldn't be able to just throw as he pleased. But you know, Adesanya's a little longer. He's got a much more nuanced understanding of distance, so he's able to stay within his range and just tag the shit out of Gastelum and drop him. I had him winning the third round, Adesanya. I had him winning the fourth round up until the head kick, which I thought if Gastelum was going to have a chance to win this fight, he'd have to mix in his wrestling to throw off Adesanya's timing of his left hand. No, he just ended up throwing a head kick out of nowhere. Do you remember the last time seeing Gastelum throw a head kick?
Right.
I want to say it was like against Rick Story. I could be wrong. But, yeah, no, he throws the head kick. It catches every part of, like, Adesanya's chin. And he's just rocked. And then that fifth round is just, that is up there with Silva, Sonnen, Lawler, McDonald 2. I'm trying to think, like Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, just all-time championship round performance from Adesanya. Just, but honestly, he could have got the stoppage. Like he probably should have, because after the fight, Kelvin Gastelum has to have what the last like 3 minutes of his life explained to him by one of the ringside physicians, who was just like, what happened? Who has to explain to him what happened, because he is completely lost. Like, I don't even, like, if the Whitaker fight is half as good as that, it's going to be an amazing fight. It's going to be an all-time classic fight. Like, that's one of the best 5-round UFC fights we've ever seen.
Yeah. There's no other way to put it. Like that. Like I said, it's going to be hard pressed to find a better fight this year than what we just got between. And Adesanya just is so. Because that could have been one of those fights where, like, some of those times he got rocked, like, he never really gets outside of himself. He's really good at just sticking with what he does, and because he does it so well. Like, he didn't get rocked and go crazy. He's still, like, super economical with his strikes. He doesn't really waste moments or movement. He does everything with purpose, and, like I said, he never loses. That's a fight where he easily could have lost track of, like, what was, like, happening and just went off the rails because there was just so much going on. To be able to keep, like, that kind of composure and calm when this is, like, the first time you've been tested. Like, you got clipped and rocked sometimes, and you were in some real danger, and he never lost his cool. Dude he's sticking to what he does because he does it so well, and it just, oh, man. Another one of those fights where you hate to even say somebody lost because the arena just erupted when that fight was over. Like
this fight emotionally drains me for the main event, which is probably better than I remember being, despite me remember it being like amazing. But all I could think about was this fight.
Right. Yeah. After this fight was over, like, oh my God, we still have one more. Like. Because the way this fight ended, it almost felt like the card should have just ended right here. Like it's not gonna get any better than this. There's no way.
Israel Adesanya, early front runner for Fight of the Year 2019. Like, good God.
Yeah.
Like, and this is another thing. Like, Adesanya, wild card. We didn't know how good he really was. Like, in terms of in an MMA context. Now we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Any doubts I think you might have had? Dude, he's legit. He's real deal. You can't question it anymore. Dude he is legit as they come. Man.
Second Nigerian born fighter to ever win the UFC title. Only a month after the first one did.
Right. Shout out to Usman. He was in the crowd. That was. Yeah, man, these between the main event and co-main event, like, these are just two of those special moments in MMA that are just gonna go down in history. Like, these are gonna be, they have the Hall of Fame category for, like, fights, That's gonna be in there. Yeah, these are gonna be in there. No question. No question. But Jesus Christ, man. Adesanya, Gastelum, all-time classic. One of the best fights I've ever seen. One of the best championship performances you'll ever see. And probably fight of the year. I know we're only not even halfway through the year. But good luck trying to have a fight better than that. Just good luck.
The only fight on paper that I could see even and it's not a 5-round fight, so it probably won't work because Volkanovski Aldo, and we don't even know if that fight's happening.
It's gonna happen, but yeah, you guys got a tall task ahead of you. But yeah, Adesanya won on the scorecards. He got 48-46 all across for unanimous decision. Wins the interim middleweight title, setting him up for a fight against Robert Whittaker. Which, like you said, that fight's probably going to be... Because Whittaker's another one of those guys who's just, stupid tough for no reason. We probably could get a similar fight out of... I don't know if it'll be as good, but it'll probably be up there.
I think it'll be a slower pace fight, to be honest. I don't see...
Yeah,
I don't think Whittaker's going to put himself out there to be hit like Gastelum does.
Yeah. He'll be a little more economical, a little more slower paced, but man, yeah, we got two all-time classics for a main event and a co-main event. So so shout out to Israel Adesanya, man, amazing performance, and Calvin Gastelum, man, hats off to both guys. So moving on to light heavyweight, Khalil Roundtree Jr. and Eric Anders. Coming into this fight, they said Roundtree actually went to Thailand after his loss to Johnny Walker. He went, to the motherland to work on his clinch game. He came back as Sagat from Street Fighter.
I just want to say, it feels like after talking about the last two fights, the rest of this card is basically a different sport.
Yeah, and what's bad is there were still good fights, but those two
performances, good, yeah.
Those two were just on another. Those two were on another level. The rest of these fights, some of them were good, but those were great. They were on their own. You can't even mention them in the same sentence. They were just different. But nah, man, whatever Roundtree did in Thailand clearly worked, and we saw it immediately. Even if you just look at the stance, he just came out straight Muay Thai stance. Light on the lead leg, bouncing up and down. Leg kicks immediately. I know Anders hasn't, generally been in MMA for that long, and I've actually been impressed at how good he's actually done for himself. A guy who came over from football, University of Alabama, really athletic and strong, and has done really well for himself. I watched him in LFA. Wasn't sure how he'd do, but I think he's done better than I thought he would. But I think this was one of those fights where, you realize, I'm not saying he's not a fighter, that's literally his job, but, Roundtree's a fighter. I've been doing this for a while.
I like to think of Roundtree as that dude who just shows up every once in a while at the basketball court. And he's dunking,
right?
But he plays no defense. He'll occasionally get in the lane and steal a pass and then run it back and then do a 360 and throw it down. But otherwise he's just genuinely letting you go right past him.
But when he's on offense.
Yeah. No, it is scary.
It is frightening. He put on, like I said, he whatever training he did in Thailand, he just brought that right over here. Because he just put on and I mean, Roundtree striking has always been powerful. That's always been his strong point. But this time it just looks so much more crisp, so much more on point. Like I said, he was battering Anders with leg kicks the entire fight. Combinations through the roof. I've never seen Anders just get beat up so much.
You're used to people being scared of his size and his strength. So like when he walk, because he loves the pressure without actually throwing anything, so he likes to walk people down. But Khalil Roundtree is just as big and just as strong, and gives zero fucks about what you want to do.
Yep.
Like it, I don't think we probably talked about this fight all that much prior, like to this card, but I guess it was just a bad match for Anders.
Yeah, it looked like he had no clue, like no answer. He just got hit with everything under the sun for 3 rounds. And it wasn't really until the third where he finally was like, all right, I lost the first 2 rounds big, like really big. Like he got blown out the first 2 rounds. Third round he tried to like amount some offense, but it just didn't matter. Like this was the best Roundtree I think we've ever seen in terms of just striking ability. Dude was just firing on all cylinders, just straight Muay Thai clinic on Anders. Just he bullied it, just big brothered him for 3 rounds, basically. I'm surprised Anders just even lasted because this was an abusive performance. Like it was a paddling from Roundtree. A very, very impressive paddling.
Yeah, no human should have to go through the last like 8 months that Eric Anders went through. Because if you remember back in August, that's when he fought Thiago Santos, and he looked like he actually died, like legit died in the cage, where he just collapsed and was just not able to stand back up. Yeah, no, that like Roundtree is scary, dude. Like, I don't know what it's gonna take for him to be like good, like AG actually good, but if he can never figure it out, man, he is one to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, 205 is only getting older, so I don't know how old is he. I mean, what age doesn't matter at 205. Guys are like 38 still fighting, so.
Shogun's out here is about to run for the title. So.
Right. Roundtree tries. Nobody cares about age. That's
he's only 29.
Oh yeah, so yeah, he'll be around for a while. Yeah, he might be a guy. I could see him making his way up there. Like I mean, mostly at 205. Outside of a few guys, it's just a lot of I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm athletic, and maybe I can wrestle.
Like Nikita Krylov is now officially 2 fights away from fighting John Jones. So, like,
yeah, Roundtree can't be that far around the corner.
Ooh, let's do that fight. Let's do Roundtree versus Nikita Krylov. Yeah.
We'll get there. That could happen though. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I mean, Krylov had his little kickboxing going. I don't think he would. I don't know if he want that kickboxing smoke, but I don't know. But Roundtree, man, that was an amazing performance. That's one of the most dominant, like one-sided fights you'll ever watch. Yeah, great job on Roundtree. Stay in Thailand. keep doing what you're doing, cause it's working. And props to Anders for surviving, because a lot of people just probably would have died that fight. He is insanely tough, probably too much for his own good. You could probably argue that he didn't even really need to see a third round. Like they could have just pulled him and been like, all right, man, like we've seen enough. But yeah, shout out to Roundtree, man. That was a really, really great just Muay Thai clinic he put on. So he got the win via unanimous decision, 30-26 across the board. Moving on to the next fight on the main card, Dwight Grant versus Alan Jouban. This is the one fight I did not rewatch for various reasons. Yeah.
I don't remember this fight. I remember nothing.
It was a lot of Jouban trying to push forward and like make something happen. A lot of Dwight like engaging but not really engaging. Like I think Dwight landed some of the harder hits, but Jouban was the one who was like really pushing the action. Not really a lot to really talk about this fight.
I remember Joban being upset he lost.
Yeah, he was pissed. And I get it. I guess because like Dwight never really pushed the action like at all in this fight. He was pretty much fighting backwards and countering. He was never really like being the aggressor, but he did land some hard shots. But Joban was the one like he landed shots, probably not as hard as Grant, but he did land shots, and he was the one who was actually like pushing the pace, trying to dictate the fight. But yeah, it was one of those fights that, yeah, as far as this main card go, it sticks out as that one fight that was just kind of like, yeah, this wasn't
This ain't it.
Yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it. So Dwight Grant ended up winning via split decision, but y'all don't really gotta go back and
relive it.
Nah, you don't need to do that to yourself.
What was the fight on the main card of a pay-per-view?
Yeah, that was my that's what I put in the group chat. That was my thoughts, and no disrespect to either, but you could have put Turner Frivola in that place. You could have put Pantoja Hayes in that spot.
You could have literally just left it empty and would have been better.
Right. there were much better options than, yeah. So that was how that fight went, but yeah, not really much to write home about. And the last fight on the main card, Nikita Krylov over Vince St. Preux. This was a rematch of Vince St. Preux in their first fight. Caught him with the Von Preux choke, but this fight did not go that way. Lots of some kickboxing from Krylov. OSP did manage to get him down. There's a lot of grappling going on. And then OSP eventually just kind of tired out. I don't even remember the finishing sequence of how Krylov got the choke. It was a cool fight. I just don't really remember it. And a ton of
it was a lot of Krylov pushing Prue back against the cage with strikes, like really crisp striking. Like he was always like a really good kicker, but the hand seemed to be developing a little bit. He was working some nice straight kicks, like kicks to the chest, kicks to the stomach. The sequence where we end up on the ground, I believe, is OSP shoots for a takedown. Krylov I believe, yeah, Krylov like stuffs it and swings around to his back for the rear naked choke. Yeah, no. Is it fair to say like OSP is just like on the downside now?
I mean, I think OSP just kind of is what he is. Like, I think we've unfortunately, I think we've probably seen the best of him. Like, he's just one of those guys that just night in, night out. I don't know. He might win one. He might lose one.
Well, I just say that because like they mentioned this during the fight, and I had to go back and check. But yeah, like the dude since this is his fourth fight in like a calendar year. Sounds crazy like that. Or I'm sorry, his fourth fight in like 14 months. And then before, like the year before that, he fought 4 times in a year, and then the year before that, like he fought a crazy amount of times. It just seems like he's burnt himself out. Like in that athletically, he's on the decline.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good. That he's what one in his last. He's one for his last 4.
Yeah, and there are some, not saying 205 super deep, but there are a couple of younger guys that are making their ways up. So, he could come back and still find himself in another fight. That could be a tough outing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think OSP is just one of those guys that he's kind of, unless he undergoes like a camp change, I think he's kind of capped out at this point. Like we've seen the best of him already, and he just kind of is what he is. I think at this point. But no, good on Crolla. Like you said, striking looked really improved. Able to get out of some bad spots. And especially after the way his initial UFC comeback went, not the way he wanted it, so a good bounce back from that. So shout out to Nikita Krylov, getting a submission over OSP. So that was the main card, which minus the Dwight Grant and Joban fight was actually really good. And like I said, the co-main event and main event just put it on a whole nother level. So that was the main card of 236. Moving on to the ESPN prelim portion of the card, we got Matt Frevola versus Jalen Turner. This is a really good fight. Jalen Turner, huge as a lightweight. I don't remember his height, but dude's got to be like 6'2", something crazy.
I would say he's like 6'3".
Yeah,
he's the same height as OSP.
Yeah, he's a big. He is a big gentleman to be a lightweight. Really long, really rangy. I definitely think he did a good job of. There was like to me like a power discrepancy. I think Frevola felt just a lot of his punches. Anytime he caught Frevola with like a straight or really just connected, I felt like Frevola felt it. But good on Frevola, who he did eat some hard shots. But I think he just did a good job of being able to mix it up more. He got a lot of takedowns on Turner, and I think that was just kind of the difference and what got him to win the fight. Like, he might get touched up on the feet, but he would land his own strikes. But when it just came down to it, he had the takedown in his bag to go to, and he was just able to work that for all 3 rounds. It was a competitive fight, but I just think the takedowns were just kind of too much, and that's just pretty much, I think, what ended up winning him over. He got a unanimous decision.
Yeah, no. Like there are disadvantages of being the taller fighter, especially when you're fighting a wrestler who can just shoot in on your hips, doesn't even have to duck under. Especially when you're not a particularly good wrestler. He did a good job getting himself out of some submission attempts. When he did have the distance down, it did land really well, but Turner just was not able to keep up. So, like, I'll have a whole bunch to say on this one. Like, Frevola turning into like a fun prelim action-y type of dude. Between this and his fight with Lando Venata.
So. Yeah, and I was gonna say the reason I had mentioned this in the write-up as a potential fight to look out for. And I mentioned that I like Jalen Turner, but I felt like Frevola has fought better competition, and not saying that Turner wouldn't be able to hurt him, but like, if you've been in there with Lando and you can hold your own, you're pretty good. I think that says a lot about you. So I thought that he'd have enough in the toolbox to get it done, and he did. Still, not a bad showing from Turner, but just he got taken down probably one too many times.
This is not the place where you want to be ironing out your issues.
Yeah.
This is not the place you want. Like, the UFC is not a place where you want to be building your skill set anymore. Like, you gotta come in with that shit pre-made.
Yeah, your creative character stats need to already be especially at lightweight. Like, that's the division that you just can't. You can't do that.
These dudes are just look like they are. Like, if you're gonna come into the UFC, you're one skill base. Like, it should be wrestling, just so you can control where the fight's taking place. Because like, just learning on the fly with all these other
Yeah, not gonna be an easy day. It's a rough day at the office, but good on Matt Frevola, man. Just able to overcome that height and range discrepancy, and able to really just grind out a win. So good performance on Frevola. Moving down to flyweight, long-lived flyweight. We had Alexandre Pantoja and Wilson Hayes. This fight lasted all of about almost 3 minutes. Pantoja threw the right hand like a couple times in the beginning of the fight, and then that pretty much ended up what was the demise of Hayes. I can't remember, but I feel like not really a ton happened. Like, Pantoja came out pretty measured, got some striking off. Like I said, he had threw that right hand a couple times. Did Hayes get a takedown? I feel like he did get a takedown, or at least went for one.
It probably went for one. I don't remember if he got it.
Yeah, I know he at least attempted one, but Hayes. I think Hayes' problem was like he couldn't get the takedown, and he couldn't really land a whole. Couldn't really land a bunch either, and Pantoja just landed a perfect straight right that just floored floored Hayes, man. Took his soul, got some ground and pound in, and got him out of there. Pantoja, man, another one of those guys that just makes me hope that flyweight stays around because he's a young guy who's been doing really good for himself lately. Another impressive performance from him. And it would just suck to see him not have a division to fight in or have him forced to go up at bantamweight.
That's probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because I think he's one of those guys that I think he's too good that you wouldn't want to X him off of your roster. So you'd probably just force him up a weight class and just hope for the best. But I'm really good from Pantoja. That right hand was pretty clean.
For Wilson Hayes, he's probably out of a job now. If we're being honest, just because all the flyweights coming off with losses are getting cut. He's now 1-4 in his last 5, and 3 of those losses have come by finish. So, one-sided finish.
Yeah.
So, and the other was the John Moraga fight, which, oof. Yeah, it sucks. I like H. Hopefully, if he gets cut, I hope he finds another job real quick. I mean, you can go fight DJ again in 1. Or you can go fight Kyoji Horiguchi in Ryzen.
Mass exodus to Ryzen. Everybody just go.
I said TJ should just ask to be cut from the UFC and go fight in Japan. They don't drug test there, except for weed.
There you go. That's the answer to everything. Go to Japan. They will accept you with open arms and open needles.
Right.
But no, great performance from Pantoja. Hopefully he has a division to compete in, but that's still up in the air. But great win nonetheless. Moving on to welterweight, we got Max Griffin versus Aleem Amadev. This fight went a little different than I thought. I actually did my homework on this fight. Like I didn't know who Aleem was, so I went and looked up some of his footage. And I saw some of his fights, and I was like, oh, he really just likes to throw. He does a lot of spinning stuff. This is going to be another just a barn burner. Max Griffin went for a lot of takedowns, which I wasn't ready for. I thought we were just going to get some hands and some elbows, and it was just going to be one of those fights. But I guess smart on Griffin. He knew
I think Griffin's like, I lost my last 2 fights because they robbed me. I'm going to just go for the easy win.
Right.
And it wasn't as easy as he thought.
Yeah, he definitely still had to take his licks and dish out a few. But, yeah, in the end, he was just like, you know what, we just going to go for these takedowns because this might be just the one area where I'm better at than Aleem is. And, it was still an entertaining fight, just not on paper. I think you thought it would just be more of a bloodbath. But Griffin clearly had a game plan and an idea for what he wanted to do, and he just went in and did that. Side note on this fight.
Yeah.
do you know about
Yes.
Aleem?
Yes.
Yeah, this man is I don't listen.
This man might not get a visa in the future. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he probably I'm all for guys being a little crazy as long as you're not too out there, but Aleem kind of took it to another level. There were reports I heard after this fight that Max said that Aleem, I don't know, I think this happened before the fight actually happened, but he was saying like Aleem tried to like literally attack him in the hotel.
Multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. The police had to be called. It was something else he said Aleem did.
So Aleem used to, he trained with Aleem for a little bit over at Extreme Couture.
Oh yeah,
And Aleem apparently got kicked out for hurting sparring partners.
Yeah. So apparently Aleem does not know when he's like, he don't know how to tone it down. Like, he's like a liability, basically. So either his visa might end up having problems, or I just kind of feel like you kind of don't want to have a guy like that on your roster, to be honest. Like,
Griffin also alleged that Imadaev got into it with UFC Hall of Famer and former light heavyweight champion Forrest Griffin at the UFC Performance Institute. So,
yeah, Aleem got some issues. He's got some anger issues he might need to sort out. So he can be entertaining. I've seen some of his fights and what he can do, but he it's not like he's such a prospect that you got to keep him around. You might want to wash your hands dry, send him somewhere else, because he just kind of sounds like a headache to deal with.
Yeah.
So, but good performance on Griffin. You know, get yourself back in the win column. Just stick to a game plan. Just work with it. You know, had to take some licks along the way, but you know, it is what it is. But shout outs to Max Griffin. He went and got a majority decision. And the last fight on the ESPN prelims, Khalid Taha versus Boston Salmon. Lord,
I feel so bad for Boston Salmon, man. Like he tears everything in like his what was it, his bicep or something. Like he's out. He finally gets to UFC, tears everything in his bicep or shoulder or chest or whatever, and is out for 2 years. And he comes back and gets knocked out in 25 seconds.
Yeah, and it was a bad one. Like Khalid threw a right and then left, and the left dropped him, and he did like this falling spin that I've never seen before. Like it was crazy, but like he fell, and I don't know if he was just so I don't really know how to describe it. You guys gotta watch it. I mean, the fight was only 25 seconds. He got hit with that left and did this falling spin motion, and then just ate some ground and pound, and that was it. But I mean, props to Khalid. He got him out of there in under 30 seconds, and you know, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. That's a great finish. But like I said, sucks for Boston. Wasn't really too familiar with him, but I saw a lot of other people talking about him. So I guess he was on like Contender Series or something.
He was in the Contender Series in 2016, but like he was like he had hype out from his first fight because he knocked this dude out. It was like one of the crispest combinations you ever see a fighter in his pro debut ever making. And it came on an RFA card. He was like one of those RFA dudes who like it was the same card as he made his debut on the same card as Brian Ortega versus Eric Koch. Was it Eric Koch? No, I'm sorry, County Koch. So like, dude had eyes on him from the get. But like he just after like 2016 and I think it was 2015, he just had injury issues that kept him out the game longer and longer and longer. So, but no, dude, like 4 or 5 years ago, this dude had like all the hype in the world behind him.
You know, I mean, unfortunately in this sport, just sometimes you get caught. It just kind of is what it is. But
too, though, because he Salmon was trying to bridge on his shoulders as he was dipping in and doing that first hook that missed. And Taha cleared one of his hands, slipped the other one, and then threw that hook because he cleared the hand of Salmon. It was down and there was nothing guarding his chin. So it's just really good situational awareness on the Haas part.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good fight when you like just don't take any damage.
Like right back out there.
Yeah, he can fight again like next month. But nah, man, great win for Khalid Taha. That was an awesome finish. So that was the ESPN portion of the card. Moving on to the Fight Pass prelims. We had Belal Muhammad versus Curtis Millender. I was really looking forward to this fight. This kind of went the way I thought. Like what I thought would end up costing Millender the fight is pretty much what did. Millender is always really good at range. Really big welterweight. Really strong. Really just great striking. He caught Belal a couple of good times in the first round. Caught him with some nice jabs, busted his nose up. Basically, Millender is one of those guys that you don't want to be able to just have him sit at range because it's going to be a long night for you. But Belal is just one of those guys that he's really gritty. He can pressure well. He can get in your face. And I just knew if he could pressure Melinda and get some takedowns and just make Melinda work, that he could get the win. And he did a good job. He ate some licks, but he was able to return fire of his own. And just, I think eventually just the pressure and the takedowns, just Melinda couldn't really overcome it.
Like, he stands really tall, and he likes to stand in the same spot. So again, like, you just let the dude who's trying to shoot in on you, like, get underneath you. Like, he's just gonna take you down.
Yeah. And yeah, eventually, all that pressure just, we've seen Belal. Belal can take a hit and still keep coming forward. So yeah, Belal just that pressure and the takedowns just kind of got to Melinda. Because like I said, Melinda he works best at range, but if you can take that away from him and not let him really get comfortable, then you'll have a chance to win. So Belal just worked him. It was still a good fight, but we kind of know what Melinda's weaknesses are, and Belal has a good enough skill set to where he can just kind of exploit those. That's pretty much what he did.
Yep. Like, I really like Belal. Like, he's like the male Karolina Kowalkiewicz, where like he'll find the thing that works and just keep doing it to the point of like not parody, but like it just becomes like a joke. You know what I mean? Like, it's just funny how much he'll rely on that one thing.
Hey man, if he gets the W.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Like, dude's a scrappy dude. Like, I respect the hell out of that. This is really funny. He's coming off the Jeff Neal loss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, is he gonna step up?
Nope. Oh, you sound like a robot. Sound like your mic is like covered or something. Hold up. Still here. Oh. It's like a radio signal. Okay, now say something.
Hello.
Alright, I can hear you. I'll make it out. It's like this weird little effect that's going on. But I can hear you. It goes away, it just kind of comes and goes. But there we go, now I can hear you. But yeah, Belal he was just kind of able to capitalize on what we just kind of already knew Melinda was weak at. So that was that fight. Belal won unanimous decision. So shout out to him. Shout out to welterweight division, low key. A lot of good up and comers. Like we said, in that violent weight range, just a lot of guys just trying to claw to the top. All pretty entertaining, all pretty fun to watch. But moving on to bantamweight, Montel Jackson versus Andre Sukumtat. I wish I remembered this fight like more in detail, because I was actually looking. This was another one on the low that I was really looking forward to. Montel's really, I would say a pretty good bantamweight prospect. Dude has good size, good striking. He's pretty solid like everywhere. God, I really wish I remember this fight more in detail. I just remember being impressed with Montel. I thought Sukumtat would be a fun matchup for him. Montel handled himself pretty well. Like, dude has just a pretty well-rounded skill set. He has good size for that weight class. But bantamweight also kind of like the mini lightweight, where there's so many good fighters that they're never really going to be any easy outs. Like, you're going to get tested every time. So I still don't know like what his ceiling is, but his skill set as of now is pretty solid. As long as he keeps improving, he can go places.
Yeah, like right now for him, it's basically just learning MMA, like how to apply a game plan to get a winning result. Like, one of the things I like to hear early on is that anytime Andre Sukumtat would throw something and he'd land, Sukumtat is like a one or two strike guy. He'll throw like a punch and a kick, and that's basically the extent of his offense. what I liked was Montel would just like throw right back. And a lot of times he would clip him. Like, it wouldn't be like any like soft stuff. He hit him pretty hard. He was doing really well with the jab, keeping him at a distance. Like Sukuntov was having trouble closing range on him. When he did get on the inside, he did a good job getting takedowns, getting on top.
He had a nice sweep. Was that a sweep?
Oh yeah, the little legs trip into the combination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the second round, he turned Sukuntov with put out his right leg as he was turning, so he tripped him, and in the chaos, he just started unloading on him.
Yeah, he's got a couple like really slick moves I saw him do in this fight. For somebody like so young, I was like, oh, he's well, I don't know what gym he trains at, but he's on it. He's whatever they're doing where he trains, it's working.
Yeah, I like his game. I like where it's going. He's only 26 years old. I worry a little bit about his ability to keep making this weight because he's a big one too. He's 5'10".
Yeah.
Training out of Red Schaefer MMA. Let's see, Eric Schaefer, Montel Jackson, and Callie Robbins, who is an Invicta fighter. I want to say she was an Invicta fighter years ago. Well, I should say years ago. She fought for them last year.
Well, they got him on the right track.
Yeah.
So shouts to Montel Jackson. He got a unanimous decision across the board. Moving on to women's flyweight, Poliana Botelho and Lauren Mueller. I don't remember this fight in a ton of detail, but I just remember thinking like Mueller could win if she could have kept this on the feet more and not engaged in so many clinch battles and then gotten taken down. Like I just felt like if she would have just disengaged from the clinch, she could have won more because she had a good third round where I think she had caught Poliana a couple good times.
Hit her with a nice knee.
Yeah, where she really was like really committing to just keeping the fight on the feet, and it was working. But it was a lot of this fight where she would start on the feet, and then they would end up on the cage, and they would just reverse position. She kind of just gets stuck there, hanging out, or she gets taken down. She got put in too many bad spots, and just
ate too many body shots with those kicks.
Oh yeah, I forgot she did get rocked with one of those, and I think it was like in the first round. She ate one of those, and yeah, she definitely felt that one. She tried to put the poker face on, but you know.
Yeah, Shasta Vitello's wrestling game. Just really nice outside trip takedowns from the clinch on a double leg. She did one, just really nice and smooth. I think we've seen her do that before, but it's the type of stuff I want to see more of. I really like the outside trip by takedowns.
Charles, the women's flyweight. I feel like it's not like the deepest division, but I feel like it's shaping up pretty
It'll
good
get
so
there
far.
eventually.
Yeah, but even with what we have so far, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at any fights and been like, oh, this division was a mistake. The fights so far have actually been pretty good. So, shout out to Poliana. That was a good performance on her end. And the last fight of the night at bantamweight, Brandon Davis versus Randy Costa. I want to say Randy is a protege of Lozon. Joe Lozon, right? I think I heard.
Yes. He's a Lozon fighter who, if I remember right, hasn't fought somebody with a winning record yet.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people that were questioning his I don't know if validity is the right word, but
his readiness.
Yeah, about whether if he was really ready to make that jump, because apparently he's just been fighting a bunch of nobodies. I thought he had a solid debut. His striking is kind of weird. It's the way I'm trying to think of how to describe this. It's just the motion and the loopiness of his punch. There's something about the way he just throws that's kind of.
He throws like an athletic Joe Lozon.
Right. It's really hard to describe the way he throws. But I mean, he did catch Davis. This is actually a pretty good back and forth. He definitely caught Davis a couple of good times. And if you've seen Brandon Davis fight, kind of know how his fights go. We just throwing hands and feet. Well, he did a little more than that, which is what got him the win. But for the most part, you kind of know how Brandon Davis fights is gonna go. It's gonna be a nice, fun, just outing of striking, and whoever wins just kind of wins. So they had a nice back and forth scrap. Costa has this really, I'm not even gonna call it karate. It's just weird. I don't know. It's weird. It's something that's very unique to him. I'll put it that way. It's really hard to put in words, but it's very unique to him as to how he strikes and just like his movement and just everything he does. But they had a fun back and forth. But I think this just kind of game came down to Davis just probably had a little more in the toolbox, a little more experience. Probably, I'm gonna assume. Well, I ain't gonna assume. He just had experience against probably tougher competition. Even though Costa did give him a good fight, but once it went to the ground, you kind of saw who was better, and Davis got a rear naked choke.
Yeah, man. The best dude that Costa's fight was fought prior to Davis was 5-9, and he was also the only dude who had a win on his resume. So that's. I think Joey said it best. Costa fought like the stuff that he was landing on Davis. Like at that point, like Costa fought like a dude who, when he landed the stuff he was going to land, he thought that Davis should have been out. Like at that point in all his other fights, he had already won.
All right. Yeah, that guy he fought who was like 2-12. Yeah, he probably crumbled after those, but
yeah, but not Davis.
Yeah, not Davis.
The man is a scrapper.
Yep. And yeah, he scrapped his way to a victory, got a submission, and that's pretty much how that went. So that was UFC 236. It was a good card, man. Like outside of Joe Bond and Dwight Grant didn't really do a whole lot for me. But I mean, outside of that, this was a pretty solid card. Like it wasn't. We say this a bunch of times. Like outside of like the main event and co-main event, there wasn't a ton to go on in terms of like star recognition.
The third best fight on this card was Alexander Pantoja versus Wilson Hayes on paper.
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah. So on paper, in terms of like name recognition, not the biggest card. But in terms of just like fight quality and performances, it was actually pretty good. Like from the prelims, from the fight pass to the ESPN portion prelims, we got good performances, we got some good finishes. But it was really like that the co-main and main event just really took this over to like another level. Like it really just made the whole night worth it. Like we got 2 instant classics in one night back to back, and it was just, I don't think I'm ever going to have a high like that again. It's going to be a while before you get 2 fights back to back that are just that good.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time that's ever happened.
Yeah. Normally one's great and maybe the other one's like just okay, or like they're both just okay, or maybe they're both great but they like ended real fast. Like we got 2 5-round fights that both went the distance that were just amazing from start to finish. Yeah, you don't that doesn't happen too often. Normally I hate 5-round fights. I want to go to sleep. I was up. Like I was up, I was attentive. This had my full undivided attention. So no, UFC 236 was a solid card that had a classic co-main and main event. So if you did not get a chance to watch Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway or Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum, go back and definitely watch those. Really great, just amazing, all-time great fights. Watch the Khalil Roundtree fight. That was a really good performance. Like I said, watch Pantoja and Hayes. Favola and Turner was cool. You can watch Khalid and Salman. It only lasted like 30 seconds. And the Fight Pass prelims were pretty dope also. So it was a pretty solid night that ended up just turning out even better than I thought. Like, I knew the main event and co-main would be good. I didn't think they were going to be like that great. is what they turned out to be. Like we got all-time great fights and two all-time great fights in one night. So that was just crazy. But that was UFC 236. Pretty good card, so go check that out. Also go back and I got to go back and watch the Loma fight and the Claressa Shelds fight. And go back and check out the one championship card too. The fights I mentioned, like I said, the Martin win fight, that's a KO of the year candidate with that flying knee. And Pacio with the the knee over Saruta. So go back and watch the one championship card. Lots of quality violence going down this week. Next week we got I think is it Overeem and
Olenek? Yeah, no, that card is garbage.
Yeah. That card is on paper, it ain't looking too good.
Well, it has 2 heavyweight fights, a light heavyweight fight between Devin Clark and the debuting light heavyweight who is juiced to the max, and Ivan
yeah, I don't know how to say that.
He calls himself Ural Hulk. But is he the dude for Bigfoot? No, he's a dude for Christian Mpubu and Satoshi Ishii. Okay. But it has 2 heavyweight fights, a light heavyweight fight, the Shevchenko Modafferi fight, and that's just the main card.
Yeah.
And Sultan Aliyev on the prelim, and Alexander Yankovlev. So we're gonna get all the action fights. Shamil Abdurrahimov and Marcin Tybura. Can you say brawl of the year?
Yeah.
It's at this point I'd like to point out I'm gonna be at Disney World next week.
Lucky you.
So I'm gonna just skip all the bad fights, which might be this entire
Yeah. Yeah. So are you not gonna be here Saturday or Sunday? You gonna be gone that whole weekend?
I'm gonna be gone that whole weekend, but I'll be back Monday. So if you want to record that night, we're good.
All right. I'll do Monday night, or I can just drag Joey in, and I can.
He did message me during all this and say that he was indeed excited for next week. He is down to record.
Joey loves all the cards that everybody else is just like, what is this? Those are the ones Joey he's staying up late night for.
Nothing gets Joey going like just random Eastern European MMA.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how next week goes, but don't hold your breath. You know, we didn't even talk about Paulo Costa saying that stomach medicine was the reason he couldn't fight. I forgot about that. That was a story.
Miguel Romero was right.
I completely forgot about that. But yeah, that was the thing that happened.
You know what I forgot to mention? Chris Camozzi volunteered to fight Jacare, and they didn't do it, and I hate the UFC for it.
Oh, boy. Shout out to Chris Camozzi. Oh, boy.
Glory superstar.
Yeah.
Boxer.
Been in glory doing nothing but winning. Oh, boy.
They should just change it to a kickboxing match. That would have been great. Jacare versus Chris Camozzi 3, the kickboxing one.
Oh, Jacare got hands now.
I mean, so does Camozzi. He's out here fighting for titles, man.
You know what I did forget to mention that I should have put in the news and notes? The reason that we're getting Overeem and Olenek is because Volkov got pulled because of potential USADA violation.
Aw.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Dude, fucking first Ruslan Magomedov, now this. Where are all my Russian heavyweights? They're all getting popped. Next week we're going to find out Olenek's on the same shit Overeem was on.
I mean, to be honest, when heavyweights get popped, I kind of don't care. I almost encourage it.
And they should be taking EPO. Where the fuck's their conditioning?
Right. They need it.
They should be taking that shit between rounds.
Like
mandatory oxygen and EPO.
Yeah. Just keep the needles just on stand. Like you know how like the cut man has a thing on his wrist that has like the nose swabs? Just have needles. Please. instead. We need to keep those on deck, man. The heavyweights need it. They're different. We shouldn't hold them to the same standards. But yeah. So next week is gonna be I don't know, man.
It's gonna be a week.
I might just drag Joey in here because, to be honest, I don't know if this is a card that late night I want to talk about on a Monday.
What you're saying is by Monday morning you will have forgotten this card happened.
Yes.
I've moved on with your life like a normal person.
Yeah. So, Joey, if you're listening, and I wonder, is this going to start at an earlier time because it's in like St. Petersburg?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see.
That would be great if this could come on like Saturday, and we could just record this the same day.
10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I gotta work, so that's all right. I can at least come home and rewatch it, and that's fine. It all works out.
I mean, like, will you be really mad if somebody spoils the results of?
Right. Oh no, I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm definitely looking.
Let me just double check the time, make sure everything's copacetic. Yeah, main card starts at 1. Prelim start at 10 o'clock.
All right. So that means I can come home. All on ESPN Plus.
All on ESPN Plus.
Cool. So I can come home, just watch that card, and I'm gonna try to get Joey. We can just record that Saturday night, and and then get that out of the way.
Just assuming Joey has nothing to do on Saturday night.
Joey, you better be free. Joey, don't you do anything Saturday night.
I mean, like, what the fuck am I talking about? We all do the same thing on Saturday night.
Yeah, we're talking about this trash, Joey. We are gonna go in depth on this trash that we're about to get.
Joey's gonna have like the background information for all the fighters. He's gonna be like Rafael Fiziev. He was where is he from? He was a Kyrgyzstani army officer.
Right. I'm just gonna be like, Joey, who won? But I don't know. Hopefully, this is me being very optimistic. Maybe if I can get at least just give me a good main card, and I'll shut up. I'll be happy.
One of these days, we're just both not going to watch the card, and we're just going to get on this podcast and talk about what we think happened.
All right. You know what? We should do that and not spoil the card for ourselves. Like, just stay off social media, and we'll do a prediction podcast after the fight already happened. And then for the last hour, we'll actually read the results.
It's just going to be all people we don't know.
Right. Oh, man. But, yeah, so next week, man, Olenek Overeem, that'll be a thing. But, yeah, I
just want to go back to this again real quick. So, my Sensei, ESPN, you get 10 dates a year to show off your top, the person you want to be a superstar, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a pay-per-view draw, so they buy ESPN Plus, and Disney doesn't lose $1 billion like they're planning to lose in the next 2 years. That's a real stat, by the way. They're planning to lose $1.2 billion on ESPN Plus. But who do you put in the main event?
Hey, man, I call up that submission specialist.
Jack Hermanson?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Why?
Yeah, these next couple weeks. Oh, my God. Greg Hardy's going to be in the thing by the end of this month. Jesus Christ.
I hope he loses.
I don't even know who is he fighting. Dimitri. I don't want to talk about that fight. Well, at least we got Kudalaba and Glover. That's rebooked.
Like,
this is gonna be an interesting month. Well, we do get Lineker, Corey Sandhagen by the end of the month. That would be awesome.
I can't wait till we get the countdown to the show for this card, for the Hermanson Jack Ray card, and they have to follow Hermanson to Sweden like they really care about him. That sounded mean, but it's true, and you all know it.
But yeah, so these next couple weeks, these next couple episodes are gonna be something. It's gonna be something. But that's all we got for today's episode, man. So make sure you guys go back and watch all the fights that we mentioned. So I guess we can go ahead and close with parting shots and shout outs. So I had to kind of come up with mine on the fly because I literally forgot to write these down. So I don't have any shots, But I will give a shout-out just overall. NBA playoffs have started. I got a chance to watch some games yesterday. Philly, I don't know what y'all are doing, but y'all better get it together. But shout-outs to, if anybody knows me, my favorite team is the Spurs. And we did beat Denver yesterday, up 1-0. Let's go. But shout-outs to Coach Pop. After that win over Denver, he is now the all-time leader in regular season and playoff wins in history, standing at 1,413 wins. He surpassed Lenny Wilkins, who had 1,412, and Don Nelson, who was in third at 1,410. So, Greg Pop, most wins as an NBA coach in history. I personally believe he is the greatest NBA coach ever, but I'm also very biased. But I will stand by that statement that he is the greatest coach of all time. But shout out to Coach Pop, man. This season we came in like we didn't have Kawhi no more. Ginobili's gone. The team was looking real unfamiliar. We got DeRozan, who I wasn't thrilled about at first, but it's actually worked out better than I thought. I'm not saying we're going to win a championship, but I do think we're going to get out this first round because I think Coach Pop will just be able to outcoach what Denver has going on. But just shout out to just Coach Pop for just consistently being great. Like, we've been in the playoffs for like, I don't remember it's a long time. We made the playoffs for like over a decade straight, and Coach Pop has just consistently kept this team always competing, no matter who's on the roster, no matter what the lineup is. He has consistently made a way to just keep this team afloat, and they're always low-key a team you just have to look out for. So shout outs to Coach Pop, and just congrats on passing that milestone, and he'll continue to pass that milestone from this point out as long as he decides he wants to keep coaching. So that is my shout outs. Shout outs to Greg Popovich, and shout outs to Dirk Nowitzki, who, had his last home game. He went out with he had 20, I think he had a double-double, I want to say. I wasn't actually a Mavericks fan. I like Steve Nash. I wasn't a Mavericks fan, but you always had to respect Dirk's game. He was one of the best. He was really important to basketball in terms of international players. He's one of the all-time greats who came over from overseas and dominated. And his run that he did win his championship was a great one that year. He beat LeBron. He beat a lot of tough teams that year. So shout outs to Dirk, because that's the last of my era that I really grew up watching and pay attention to. He was the only guy left from that era is Vince Carter. After I lose Vince, that whole era that I grew up watching, they're all gone.
Vince Carter's gonna be 60 years old and still playing the NBA.
Hey man, the man takes care of himself. He switched to a vegan diet or something. He can still jump really high. He takes care of himself. But shout out to Dirk, man. It's crazy to see. It just makes me realize how long I've been watching basketball. That literally the entire era I grew up watching. There's one of them left. Everybody else is about to be out of here, and it's kind of wild. But shout out to Coach Pop. Shout out to Dirk, man. All you guys have contributed great things to the sport of basketball, to the NBA, and it's been awesome watching them all this time. So shout outs to both of those gentlemen.
So the NCAA championships were this past week, as well as the WNBA draft. I don't know who won the men's tournament because I stopped caring when Zion left.
No, Virginia.
Who plays for Virginia?
They have one projected lottery player, and I cannot remember his name.
Yeah, but Baylor, they won the women's tournament, led by Kalani Brown and Lauren Cox. Kalani Brown got drafted this past Wednesday, is now an official pro basketball player. So congrats to her, I guess. Congrats to everybody that got drafted on Wednesday. Just really talented class. The New York Liberty drafted the tallest woman to ever play in the WNBA. A 19-year-old from China named Han Shu, who's 6'9".
Jeez.
Yeah. And it seems like a really cheap comparison, but she does play a lot like Yao Ming. Like same issues that Yao had when he came in the league, where like, he wasn't aggressive enough around the basket, but like he was like really like he was mobile and he had a really soft touch, and he was still really like he was still strong enough to get blocks on the other end. Like a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same strengths. They also drafted Asia Dur, who's probably the best scorer in the draft, which we desperately need. And I'm going to go see them play in like a month against the Chinese national team for the preseason. So I'm excited about that. So shout outs to everybody who got drafted this past Wednesday. Do we have any more shout outs?
Oh, shout outs to Rich Franklin. You got inducted to the Hall of Fame in the Pioneer Wing.
Sweet.
Forgot to throw that in the notes. So shout outs to Rich Franklin. Real OG fighter, man. Like one of that back when this sport wasn't really the cool thing. he was that guy who was holding it down in the middleweight division.
It wouldn't be if your math teacher was doing it. Would you consider it cool?
I would. I mean, only because he was actually like he was good at it. You know, if my math teacher was actually out here getting washed, I'd be like, all right, dude, you gotta
hang it up.
Yeah, you gotta stick to math. This ain't for you. But nah, man, Rich was, you know, pre Anderson Silva, he was like that guy at middleweight. Even though I still am bitter at him for knocking out Chuck Liddell the way he did.
Everybody knocked Chuck Liddell out.
Yeah, so I should be mad at everybody. But nah, congrats to Rich Franklin. And I just saw that Holloway Adesanya and Holloway Poirier and Adesanya Gastelum both got fighter tonight.
Nice.
That's awesome. Everybody got rewarded for their efforts. So shout out to Rich Franklin and company. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. So as always, you guys can listen to us on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. Check us out on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page, as well as the Dojo Talk Podcast Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, which I'm probably going to be on in a couple minutes, or maybe about an hour, playing Sekiro and other games where I fail, but I try. Follow me on those accounts at Serial Sensei. Yeah, and buy my book, The Oddball Chronicles, 99 cents for digital, $8.99 for physical copy. But thank you guys for listening, man. Keep reposting, keep sharing. We appreciate you. And as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.